How's everybody doing? Happy last day of Mayhem. The Mayhem Ball. Sad. But, yeah, hello. Hi, everyone. I'm not, like, super into, like, all this space stuff. I mean, I'm cool with it. I like it. I'm glad that we're doing stuff for, like, research purposes in space rather than just, like, the space tourism of, Amazon and shit. I'm glad that NASA's doing shit, but I have no interest in ever being in space. I think it's scary, so I'm not into all that, but I did want to show, here's a cute little video, first of all, of one of the astronauts' dogs being so excited to see her on her return home. Real cute, but then I also saw some other stuff on Twitter that was kind of cool. So, like, here's a space ship or, like, a satellite or something. Here's a sunset from space. That's the sun right there. That's Earth. And then the sun goes away. Just like in real life, how the sun goes away sometimes, but it's different because it's in space. That's cool, right? And then I guess this is a video from their re-entry, the astronauts who went up to the moon recently. This is what it looks like. And this person said, and with that, flat Earth is over. No, it's not. I don't think the people who believe in flat Earth were waiting for, like, evidence. But this is still cool to see. And it is definitely evidence that the Earth is round. Because this is their, like, rotation around the Earth. And I was thinking about it, it's very cool that people are able to do this shit, but it's like the stress of they have to calculate where the Earth is gonna be and where the moon is gonna be when they launch and then when they come back, because it's like you want to land in a specific place and you have to take into account the rotation of the Earth and also, like, I think the weather patterns too. Like, I'm assuming if it's too windy or something, you could get blown onto, like, land instead of the ocean, which would be really bad. It's so stressful. I can't believe people do shit like this. And people feel confident enough to go up there and then come back. I don't know, it's very scary. But there it is. There's the re-entry. Oh, it's so terrifying. Just awful. But good, cool. Glad people are doing it. But I would never. But that was sort of a lighter note that I wanted to start the stream on, because we are going to pivot for a second to something a little darker. So, trigger warning for domestic violence. I do want to just touch on this issue one more time for right now. I don't know how much I'm going to cover it going forward. It kind of just depends on the cultural conversations around it, like if it becomes a big point of discourse, which I imagine it probably will be, because it does seem like ABC hasn't fully given up on the idea that they might be airing this new season of The Bachelorette. I think they are kind of just maybe holding off until things calm down or something. I'm not sure, but it seems like they might still be planning to go forward with the season of The Bachelorette with Taylor, Frankie Paul. So I imagine that this will become a bigger point of discourse throughout the year, maybe. So I am prepared to talk about it if it becomes like a big thing, because when I talked about it a few weeks ago, I'm still not really even that interested in Taylor, Frankie Paul or Dakota Mortensen. I don't know much about that show. I've never watched The Bachelorette. I've now seen one episode of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but it's not really something that I'm that interested in regardless. I saw some of the conversations happening online, and some of them made me a little uncomfortable. So that was why I weighed in a few weeks ago. I don't plan on weighing in, like, every time a new update happens, but I think I'm going to continue looking into it. I'm going to try to understand the whole situation more. And that's hence why I've now seen an episode of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I've only seen one episode, the first episode, but I guess I'll watch, I don't know, the rest of it. I'm not sure how deep into this I want to go. But the next time we talk about it, I do want to have, like, more of an understanding of the entire situation, the entire relationship, etc. And also, I just think that at this point, because it's such an ongoing thing, because, you know, there's a back and forth at the moment, I think it's probably best to, like, let allegations and evidence kind of build up a little bit more and have more information before we talk about it again. Because especially, like, you know, we're sort of a more opinion-based show here. Like, we talk shit, I talk shit, you guys talk shit in the chat, and, you know, probably best to, like, have a full understanding of everything before we talk too much shit, you know, because who's to say what else will come out. But I did want to give an update, because the last time we talked about it, we had only heard, like, one side of this specific event at the end of February, and now we do have more information from the other side, so I'll get into that. But just a quick rundown for anyone who wasn't here. We talked about this, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a little bit ago, but somewhat recently. So this is Taylor Frankie Paul right here. She was the creator of Mom Talk, which was some sort of, like, TikTok niche sphere of moms, specifically, like, Taylor Frankie Paul and her friends in Utah, and they're all Mormon women, wives. I think at this point Taylor has left the Mormon church. I'm not sure about the other women, but they're Mormon wives. And then, so I don't really even know how this all happened, because I wasn't following the Mom Talk stuff at that time. I'm still not totally clear on what it was now, but at some point, something came out, some sort of sex scandal or cheating scandal or something, and then Taylor went on to a TikTok live and said that her and the other moms of Mom Talk were, like, swingers and were having sex, like, with each other's husbands and stuff, and maybe also having orgies. I'm not totally sure. I've only seen a few clips from that live stream. Now, it turns out it really, well, I don't want to say it was only Taylor, but Taylor's the only one who's ever admitted to it. The other moms involved have all denied being swingers. They've all denied any of this stuff happening. So either they're just not ready to admit it yet, or Taylor was exaggerating the situation and maybe throwing her friends under the bus to make herself look less strange. I'm not sure. But that happened. There was a live where Taylor Frankie Paul said that her and the other Mormon wives were swingers. So that became a whole thing. Hulu then gave them a reality show, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, starring all of these women, but mostly Taylor, mostly just her. I think she's the center of all of it, at least from the episode that I saw, that seemed to be the case, and from what I understand from the ways that other people have talked about this show, I think that it is Taylor who's, like, kind of the main star. But there's other women involved. So they get this reality show, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, on Hulu. It goes for 4 seasons. It was supposed to go for 5, but that's on pause at the moment. But in the first episode of the first season, the first episode ever, at the very end of it, Taylor does get arrested for domestic violence against her then-boyfriend, Dakota Mortensen. There's some body cam footage that's shown at the end of the episode, and there's, like, the allegations of what happened to get to that point. I guess the neighbor heard them fighting, called the cops. Cops showed up, arrested Taylor because Taylor had been violent. She had been throwing chairs at Dakota and somebody else, apparently, but not on purpose, I guess. But, well, I'll go over that in a second. So, anyway, they got into this fight. It originally started as a fight over Taylor's drinking, because Taylor is an alcoholic, essentially. I don't know if she's ever identified as such, but from my eyes, from what I've seen, it seems to be an alcoholic. Dakota is previously an alcoholic and or a drug addict, but he is now sober, so he wanted her to be sober. She was very intent on not being sober. They got into a fight about it. She claims that he pushed her in the garage this night, and that she pushed him back, and then he locked her in the garage, and that's when she, like, got out of the garage and started throwing chairs and stuff at him as a reaction of being locked in a garage. He does admit to locking her in the garage, but according to him, she was already, like, attacking him at that point, and that's why he did it, as, like, a self-defense kind of thing. So there's that. Taylor eventually, she did plead guilty to domestic violence, and she later admitted to being the aggressor in that situation. But I don't even know that they actually broke up after that. I know they had like an on-again, off-again relationship, but I think they actually just stayed together after that incident. They stayed together, had an on-again, off-again thing for a while. I haven't watched much of the show yet, but I guess from what I understand from people who have watched the show, Dakota is incredibly controlling and misogynistic and maybe emotionally abusive to Taylor throughout the whole thing. They break up at some point. Then after they break up, after, I guess, season 4 wrapped, or when season 4 was filming, I'm not exactly sure of that timeline with the two shows, but at some point, Taylor gets cast as the new Bachelorette for the new season of The Bachelorette. They filmed the entire season, have it edited, everything, ready to premiere. Was supposed to premiere in March of this year, but then mid-March, it was announced that the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives had paused their filming of season 5 because of some sort of situation with Dakota and Taylor again. I guess from what I understood, they had gotten back together after The Bachelorette stopped filming, but that is kind of getting challenged here. I think that Taylor is saying that they were not back together, but that Dakota was like obsessed with her and stalking her. So maybe, I don't know what the status of their relationship was, but there was some sort of incident with them at the end of February that then caused the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives show to pause filming. Dakota took out a restraining order against Taylor. The police opened up a new investigation for domestic violence against Taylor and brought in footage that Dakota had filmed from the night in 2023 of her throwing the chairs at him. They were bringing that into the investigation, so TMZ got a hold of it along with some other stuff. TMZ published it, which a lot of people were saying that Dakota had taken it to TMZ. I really don't believe that that's true. That's one of the things that I found a little troubling with some of the commentary online. It very much seemed like a Morgan Tremaine kind of argument of like, well, he owned the copyright. It's like, well, that's not how that works, actually. It does seem like TMZ got it from the police. But, okay, so this video came out. The video is really bad. Taylor looks really bad in it. She is throwing things at Dakota. She has got him in a headlock at one point. She kicks him. He is never physically aggressive toward her in that video whatsoever. But again, like, he is the one filming it. So, you know, wise of him to not do anything on camera. And she is definitely, like, drunk, so, and he's not. So she's not in her right mind. He is. So there is something there about, like, why was he filming? But at the same time, it's like, well, if he was being attacked, I think it's maybe kind of fair for him to film. But okay, people have suspicions of him for that. The most troubling thing in the video is not even totally what's happening to Dakota, which that is still not good to see. But at one point, Taylor throws a chair at Dakota, and instead of hitting him, it hits her daughter. And the police reports state that the daughter did sustain an injury from that. There was a goose egg style bump on her head from where the chair hit. It's very clear in the video that the chair hits her. You don't see it really, but you hear it, and you hear the child crying. And you also, the most kind of damning thing about the video, because a lot of people were questioning, like, oh, we already knew this. Like, we already knew she was arrested. She pled guilty. It's all over now. Why is this coming up again? The video is definitely worse than what Taylor herself indicated. There are interviews of her doing, like, podcasts and stuff afterward. There's videos of her talking about this incident where she is specifically denying knowing that her daughter was in the room, which is absolutely bullshit, because as she's doing shit in the video, Dakota is repeatedly yelling to her, your daughter is right here. Your daughter is right here. Why are you doing this in front of your daughter? And then she also denied that her daughter ever actually got hurt in the incident, which again is just plainly untrue when you watch the footage. And again, it's like she definitely knew that, because when the chair hits her daughter, Dakota says, like, you just hit your daughter. And she says, I didn't do that. You did that. Which definitely feels very gaslighty. So not good. And the fact, again, that I can understand a little bit if she was drunk, if she was just completely out of her mind in that moment, you know, maybe that wasn't representative of anything, like her actual, like, sober personality, I'm not sure, but it's the fact that, like, when she's sober, or I guess sober, maybe she's never sober, who's to say, but when she's doing podcast interviews years later, she's denying ever hurting her daughter when that's just so plainly not true. She clearly did hurt her daughter in that video. So The Bachelorette got put on pause. We don't know if the new season starring Taylor Frankie Paul is ever gonna air, but maybe it will. Either way, just really not good. But so all this kind of happened because of some sort of situation at the end of February. February, I think 22nd and 23rd. Dakota said that there was some other incident with Taylor where she attacked him physically and was choking him, doing a lot of this in front of their now shared son, because the daughter in the first video, in the first incident from 2023, was her daughter from a previous marriage. her and Dakota have another son, and I think they also had gotten married and then divorced. But so they have a son, and I guess a lot of this stuff that happened at the end of February was in front of the son as well. So it was bad, and especially to me, it's like the choking thing is really hard for me to ever justify as an incident of, like, reactive abuse. A lot of people are trying to say that like, Dakota is the abuser and Taylor is only reacting to his abuse, but I don't know. I don't know how to justify that when you're putting your hands around someone's throat. Like, that just seems like such an extreme escalation. Unless she's alleging that he did that to her first. I don't know. But it was bad. So anyway, we have the other side of this now from the February incident. Because Taylor has now... Dakota had filed a restraining order against her. He had his restraining order granted. He also now has primary custody. I think that he has full-time custody of their son, but she gets 8 hours of visitation time, but it has to be supervised. So Taylor is now filing a restraining order against Dakota, which definitely seems like maybe a legal maneuver to get have evidence on her side maybe when they go to court for custody, I'm not sure, or it's just a publicity thing because it's like, well, he already has a restraining order against you, so I don't know why you would need one against him, but okay, sure. So she's got a restraining order against him now, and she's making allegations in the restraining order about that February incident, but I wanted to like show this on stream because the last time we only really talked about it from Dakota's perspective because that's the only information we had. So I do want to give Taylor a fair shake here and at least hear out what the other side of this is, because maybe, you know, I still like, I'm open to the idea that her actions are reactive. I've never denied that was a possibility. So I want to hear her out, but I have to be honest. Her statements are unsatisfying to me, and I don't know if that's purely because I don't know if these documents are public, if there's a way to read her entire filing. I can only read what's been reported on from other outlets. This is from NBC News, so I don't know if they're leaving stuff out that she is alleging, but from this report, I just have a lot more questions. I still feel like I don't have a whole lot of clarity on what it is that she's even saying happened. So let's go through it. In a declaration attached to a temporary protective order filed against her ex-boyfriend in Utah court Tuesday, Paul detailed 4 incidents of domestic violence alleged to have been suffered at the hands of Dakota Mortensen. One of those incidents sparked a downward spiral in both their personal lives and their careers on screen. I am not perfect, I have owned my mistakes, but Dakota is an abusive individual who refuses to take accountability. I desperately need protection from Dakota, or else his abuse, both physical and emotional, will continue. Mortensen has previously accused Paul of multiple instances of domestic violence. Paul alleged violence on May 27th, February 14th through the 17th, and February 22nd to the 23rd. So these are the 22nd and the 23rd are the days that we have where Dakota was alleging violence. I'm very confused on the May 27th, and I'm somewhat confused. We'll go through it, but there's something that happens on the 17th, which is my birthday. There's something that happens on the 17th where I'm like, okay, I guess. I don't know that I would consider that violence necessarily. It maybe is alarming, but I don't really even understand the 14th, like what happened in that range. And the 22nd, I'm also very confused on. So whatever, like, here it is. Mortensen has not been charged in connection with a blah, 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 blah. Okay. Report, season 5 canceled, an audio recording of a phone call, blah, 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 blah. TMZ published a video. Next day, Mortensen filed a protective order. So here we go. Paul started her declaration by stating the obvious for fans of the Hulu reality series. Mine and Dakota's relationship has been tumultuous, with several periods in which we have argued or outright broken up. She wrote that Mortensen realized the relationship was over in February, which led him to take actions that scared me and made me fear for my safety. So already I'm like, okay, well, what about the May 27th thing? Because that has to be referring to last year. So what happened on May 27th? Why is that being left out of this article? I don't know. She wrote, Mortensen realized the relationship was over in February, which led him to take actions that scared me and made me fear for my safety. After Paul was selected as the Bachelorette, she said Mortensen became increasingly possessive, texting her after promotional spots for the show aired to tell her that he still loves her. Communication she characterized as unsolicited by me. And so I'm like, is this... I mean, she was selected as the Bachelorette prior to February, right? That's not how that would work. I guess I don't keep up with the Bachelorette, but I would assume that that was announced a while ago. So again, I'm not sure about what happened in May of last year. And then he became increasingly possessive. Okay, sure, maybe. And then texting her after promotional spots for the show aired to tell her he still loves her. Communication she characterized as unsolicited by me. They might have been unsolicited, but I don't know that I would consider that violence necessarily. It is maybe abuse. It maybe is like some sort of stalking, but also it's like you two have a kid together, so there's some expectation that you would still be in communication. I'm not sure. I would need to even see the text messages really to say how egregious they were, because ultimately he has a right to communicate that like he still has feelings for her. Maybe he did that in a fully creepy, possessive, weird way. But I would need to see the text messages to say for sure. And again, even then, I don't know that I would consider that violence. I mean, maybe. It depends on what the texts say. But so then we get to February 17th, and it says, Mortensen texted Paul a photo of her initials, TFP, tattooed inside his lip. And that's where I'm like, well, I don't know that I would consider that violence either. It's creepy, maybe, if you didn't want that. But I don't know about violent. Considering his increasingly possessive and erratic behavior and considering the fact that we were not in a relationship, this was extremely alarming. My initials are now permanently tattooed on the body of a man who has been abusive toward and possessive of me. I do think it's creepy to get a tattoo of someone's initials. I will say, if it was inside of his lip, that's not permanent. Those tattoos aren't permanent. They only last for like a few years, maybe even like 1 year. So it's still creepy. I'm not denying that part. But like, is it permanent? No, like it's just not. But okay. Days later on February 22nd, Paul said Mortensen came to her house with their son Ever to discuss their relationship. Now, this is a little strange to me because I thought that she was at his house, not him at her house, but okay. She said that after some time she asked him to leave, but that he refused and became hostile. When we argued and he refused to leave my house, it puts me on edge, partly due to the extreme size and strength disparity between us. This worries me. Noting that Mortensen weighs around 200 pounds and she weighs 95, which, first of all, girl. I guess that's her business, but like, that's alarming. 95. But okay, I understand for sure that even if she was physically violent toward him, there definitely is a different level of threat compared to if he had been violent toward her because of their size disparity. For sure, get that. Doesn't justify putting your hands around someone's neck. And here I just don't really understand. She's saying he refused to leave her house, which again, I thought that this was all at his house. So I'm a little confused about that, but maybe I was just wrong. Maybe this actually did all happen at her house and I just got that. I misremembered. Not sure. But like, okay, he refused to leave your house. That's bad. That definitely does not justify you choking him. Like that's like I'm going to call the police to get this man removed for trespassing. Not, I'm going to start strangling him. That's no. Just no. Paul said Mortensen intimidated her by calling 911 and threatened to make false allegations when she demanded that he leave. So that part, Dakota already admitted to he didn't admit to like that, but he said that he tried to call the police at one point. He tried calling 911, which you would think if he was trespassing on your property, if he was on your house and you didn't want him there. It kind of seems like you should have maybe called 911, but okay, whatever. He said that he called 911 while she was like attacking him, and then she manipulated him into saying that into like just dropping all of his allegations and saying that their son was sick or something. I don't know how that gets you out of 911 call. I mean, just like, actually my son's sick, I have to go. Okay, fine. So this is just a different version of events of like, she's saying that he was making false allegations and she eventually convinced him to hang up the phone. He's saying that he was going to give real allegations and she manipulated him into hanging up the phone. So, okay, I don't know what happened there. But Mortensen told police he had a concern about their sick child. She said, noting that it was clear that the call was made to intimidate her, which she admitted was successful. Mortensen left but returned later that day with their son, Paul said. When she refused to hang out, Mortensen again left. In her declaration, Paul wrote that later that night, the Bachelorette social media account started teasing something coming tomorrow, and that Mortensen then sent a string of unsettling text messages. I just feel so lost, one of Mortensen's texts said. And that's where I'm like, okay, that text doesn't seem that bad. I get if it was unsolicited, why you would still be like, fuck, why does this guy keep texting me? But like, I just don't know that justifies anything else, Taylor. Mortensen returned to Paul's home early February 23rd, she said. They spoke outside his truck because her 3 children were asleep in the house. Paul said Mortensen started to drive off while she was in the vehicle. She said that she asked him to take her home, but that he kept driving and their fighting continued. Paul alleged in her declaration that Mortensen grabbed my head and slammed it against the dashboard, causing a bruise. She said she tried to push him off and pull away, but that Mortensen pulled her toward him. He drove her home, but came back 10 minutes later looking for sex and lingering outside her window. She said Mortensen called the police only after assaulting me and only having his demands for sex denied. And this is where I'm again like, what is happening? Because, so Dakota did say the thing about the truck, about him, in his version of events, he was trying to leave. He was trying to just exit the situation completely. She came out of the house and then tried to get into his truck, and he did like push her off and stuff, and he said that her face ended up hitting the chair. He didn't say dashboard, but he said chair, and that she had like a bloody nose and stuff from that, but that to him that was just self-defense of him trying to get her out of his car. So now we have a different version of events here where she was in the car talking to him, and then he tried to drive off with her. So I'm not sure about all that, but again, it's like, ultimately, where I'm still really, really confused, and where I'm still like, Taylor, I want to hear you out a little bit more. I do, but you're not really helping me, because the truck thing happened on the second day, and the choking happened the first day, and you still haven't addressed that part, you know? Like, because here's the thing is, like, if you were the first one to get physically violent on February 22nd, yeah, okay, maybe he did slam your head against the dashboard on the 23rd, but, like, you were choking him the night before, so, like, that still implies that you introduced the violence into that situation, you know? It doesn't justify him doing that if he did it fully unsolicited, though again, he is saying that he did it in self-defense. But even if he did it totally out of the blue that day, you were choking him the night before, he claims, which I'm just so confused about the fact that she is neither denying that fact, nor is she actually providing any sort of, like, explanation for it, other than, like, he came over and she wanted him to leave. It's like, yeah, that's not how you solve that problem, though, Taylor. What are you doing? What do you mean? And also, in Taylor's version of events, at least from this, she doesn't mention her child at all. And that's also really troubling. I think she does maybe mention him in, like, I for the sake of my children, I need him to be away from me. But the thing is that in Dakota's actual, like, filing, it seems like that was kind of the basis for his filing in the first place, is he was like, she kept doing this in front of our son. Like, and she's, at one point, I think he said that she was, like, pulling the blankets off of her son or something. Like, it seemed like the kid was so involved in Dakota's version of events, and Taylor is acting like the kid wasn't even there for those incidents. And that's where I really, ultimately, I don't know about this relationship. I don't know what the dynamic is between the two of them. I think that for sure, you know, when we're talking about abuse, we do need to keep in mind, like, who has the power in the relationship. And it's hard to say in this instance because, yes, Dakota is larger and he is a man. So he has a lot of, like, power just within the patriarchy. Men can certainly get away with a whole fucking lot. And also, like, I think they're both Mormon. So they were raised in an even more, like, patriarchal sort of culture than just normal American culture. Like, they've both been maybe somewhat brainwashed. Sorry, that's maybe a strong word to use for an entire, like, religion, but, like, the Mormon church is culty, and so maybe they're both a little bit, like, maybe they both fall for, like, patriarchal standards to some extent that Dakota wants to really reinforce in their relationship. Like, that, there is a power there, for sure. At the same time, Taylor Frankie Paul is definitely just more famous than he is. I mean, from what I saw from the first episode of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the show really revolves around her. And I think that is something that really needs to be taken into consideration, too, of, like, how many people are willing to enable Taylor because she's the center of this show. She does have more power in this situation than most women would, even if she is still a woman, you know? So there's that part of it. And that's another thing, too, where, like, the people who are really, really on the side of, like, no, Taylor is just a victim, Dakota is the problem, Dakota is the abuser, they will always appeal to the TV show. They will always appeal to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and say, like, no, if you watch the show, you'll understand that, like, Taylor is just reacting to Dakota's abuse. And I'm gonna watch the show. I will do that, and I'll tell you what I think about it. But at the current moment, what that argument sounds like to me, it's a similar argument that Johnny Depp supporters make when they say that, did you even watch the trial? Do you get that? Like, trials and reality shows, biased sources, like, you know, in a trial, different lawyers and attorneys, they work very hard to get certain evidence left out of a case. Some attorneys are just better at, like, manipulating a jury than others. We saw that disparity with Depp v. Heard pretty blatantly, of, like, Johnny Depp just had better lawyers than Amber did. And so the trial was always going to be lopsided in Johnny's favor. And it's a similar thing with a reality show, but maybe even kind of worse, because at least a trial theoretically has a third-party individual, a judge, overseeing the entire thing to try to keep it even. There's no such thing on a reality show. Nobody really fucking cares about impartiality or anything like that. These are reality show producers who are very, very incentivized to make Taylor come across a little bit more flattering than any of her partners, you know, because she is the star of the show. So I am going to watch the show. Maybe, probably. Who's to say? I think I will. I at least watched the first episode. And from the first episode, I can already say that I do think the show is incredibly produced. You know? It is pretty obvious that there's quite a lot of producer manipulation happening. But who's to say? Because that was the first episode, so maybe there was more producer meddling because they just need that for, like, exposition's sake. Like, they need to do more setup. Maybe as the show goes on, it'll become a little bit more candid. I'm not sure, but, like, ultimately, these producers have incentive to make the show a little bit more flattering for Taylor than any of her boyfriends, who are a little bit more disposable. Though I do know that there was some talk about the men trying to have their own reality show at some point, so maybe if that was going to go further, maybe those producers had incentive to be kinder to Dakota. I'm not sure. And I do need to look more into that, but, like, I don't think the, like, if you watch the show you'll understand argument holds that much water, given the fact that, like, it's a show, it's a reality show, it's not real, you know? That's my big hesitancy there. But okay, I will concede that maybe what's happening between these two individuals, maybe it's more complicated than one person being the bad person, or maybe the bad person really is Dakota. Maybe he is so controlling and so abusive. Maybe he is also physically violent too. Who's to say? I don't know what's happening between these two adult individuals, but I think it's pretty undeniable that the party in this instance that has no power whatsoever is the kids. The two children that Taylor has outside of her relationship with Dakota, and the son that they share. Those are the, like, undisputed victims in this, and I am a little disturbed by how Taylor doesn't seem to take that very seriously. So that's where I'm landing in the current moment. I don't know what the fuck. I'm not gonna say whose side I'm on in terms of Taylor and Dakota, even though I definitely think that Dakota's allegations at the current moment hold more water than Taylor's does, but who knows? Maybe that's just bad reporting on different media outlets' parts. Maybe I'll change my mind about that, but I think that the evidence that we have at the current moment is more flattering to Dakota right now, but ultimately, I don't fucking know. All I know is that the kids in this situation, they're not doing well. This isn't good for them. And I don't really even care that much whatever Taylor Frankie Paul did to Dakota Mortensen, because even if I thought that she was abusive to him, it's not that I wouldn't care, but it's like he is an adult who makes his own decisions. He agreed to be with her. The kids didn't agree to any of this. And I don't think that we should move the conversation that far from that, like, whatever we think about the two of them, the kids should be the priority of both of them, and I'm just not totally convinced that they are Taylor's priority, and that's concerning. So that's where I stand at the moment. But again, I'm not going to talk about this for a little bit unless there's, like, some huge bombshell thing that comes out and it feels like we need to, but other than that, I'm going to let this kind of build up a little bit more till we have more information, till I do more research into it. I watch more of that fucking show. So that's where we stand at the moment. So,
all right, let's move on.
Now, in some happier news, another situationship, an on again off again couple that is a little bit more wholesome than Taylor, Frankie Paul, and Dakota Mortensen. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, after getting a divorce, like last year or the year before, Ben is now gifting Jennifer Lopez a portion of their $60 million mansion for free. Like, he's just giving her a house. I'm kind of obsessed with them, to be honest. I really was not on board for a while. I was like, who fucking cares about this relationship? Just because they were both together in the 2000s, everyone's got nostalgia over it. Whatever. But I do love the fact that, like, even when they're getting a divorce, it does still feel like there's definitely still a lot of love between the two of them. Is the portion half? I would assume so. I would assume that he's just giving her... I would assume they split the mansion. I guess we can read the article to find out. But my assumption was that they both owned this mansion and that in the divorce, he's just giving her his half. He's like, I don't fucking care. You can have it. So yeah, Ben Affleck has reported gifting his ex-wife Jennifer Lopez his entire share of their $60 million mansion for free. The former couple modified their property settlement agreement, which shows a transfer of property among spouses. The document doesn't specify the exact nature of the transfer, but on Friday, sources close to the situation told the outlet that Affleck gave Lopez his entire stake of the property for no cost. He does, and he also got her that movie. He was a producer for that movie, the Kiss the Spider Woman or whatever. So look at him go. Look at them go. If they get back together again, I'm probably going to be rooting for it. Good for them. Now, another update that is, I believe, happy at the current moment, from the information we have, Britney Spears has voluntarily entered rehab for drugs and alcohol. This is according to TMZ, so who fucking knows? But supposedly Britney has checked herself in to a rehab stay, which I think is probably positive because I think that she probably was struggling post-conservatorship, not because she was free from the conservatorship, but because of just previous mental health issues that she's had along with the trauma from the conservatorship, and especially because of like her like medical trauma, her fear of doctors, which she's talked about pretty openly. It seemed like there were some issues she was having that she was not seeking treatment for because of her trauma, so I'm optimistic that hopefully this is a positive step in the right direction for her. I am a little nervous because we've been told that Britney voluntarily checked into a mental health center previously, and that turned out to not be true at all, that she was forced into it by her fucking family. And so I just have to say that, like, to Britney's family, if I find out that she did not voluntarily check herself in and that you motherfuckers had something to do with it...
Death to all of them.
It's not going to be cute the second time. Let's just say that. Like, I'm not threatening violence or anything, but however invasive, however bad you thought the Free Britney movement was in the first round, it's not going to be any better the second time. And I really hope that her family has that in mind, that like the backlash will be bigger the second time. You were such fucking babies about it the first time. You kept complaining about how, oh my god, everyone's so mad at us because we maybe kind of trafficked our family member. That was already ridiculous. But if you do it again, it's gonna be worse. So she better have went into that facility of her own fucking free will. Or else.
I go through life like a karate kid.
Anyway, someone else who has been unfairly maligned, especially by TMZ, Chapel Roan was at Coachella, and they're still really, really milking this whole security guard thing. So TMZ is like, Chapel Roan resurfaces at Coachella for first appearance and security debacle. Okay. Resurfaces. Go fuck yourself. But then, so the dad, earlier today, the dad who did that whole story in the first place about his stepdaughter crying because the security guard yelled at her, he has now put a new Instagram story up where he is not exactly apologizing to Chapel Roan, but admitting that he was fucking wrong as hell. He said, "I would like to give an update on what happened during Lala weekend, as we have been seeing and hearing a lot over the past few weeks, and felt it was important to clarify everything now that new information has come to light." New information. You made up the entire story in the first place. "I made my initial statement in the heat of the moment after hearing that my child and wife had been approached by an adult male security guard in an intimidating way. I reacted as any father would." No. No. I think most fathers, if they heard that, like, a security guard yelled at their daughter and that their daughter cried, I think most normal dads would just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry that happened to you." And then just, like, move on. Just, like, console your daughter and move on. You don't immediately make, like, an entire, like, nationwide incident of it. Especially as, like, a famous person. Like, that's crazy to act like this is just a response that anybody would have. "My priority is and always will be protecting my family, and that is exactly what I did." No, you didn't. Not in the slightest. You fucking set your daughter up for public scrutiny from Chapel Roan fans. And, like, I'll admit that, like, I mean, I don't think I said anything super bad about the daughter, but I did say, and I still stand by it, that the way that her parents were reacting, her mother and then her stepfather, Jude Law has never weighed in whatsoever. He was smart to do that. The way that they were reacting to the whole thing gave me the impression of, like, they're probably entitled parents who are raising a little brat. Is that fair of me to say about the little girl? Not necessarily, but, like, you guys are the ones that brought her into this in the first place. You were the ones that put your parenting on display for me to judge, which then does kind of lead to inferences about your child's behavior. So, like, sorry to the daughter, but I didn't do that. I said stuff about how she might be a brat, but that's because of the situation that you painted. So, like, I don't think that was a good thing for you to do to your own child at all. At all. I also want to make clear that the situation did occur as it was originally described. At the time we acted on the information that was available to us, you didn't have any information. You didn't even know that was her security guard. You made an assumption. That's not, I wouldn't even say that the situation occurred the way that it was originally described, because you specifically blamed Chapel Roan for it when it wasn't her fault. And you didn't really even have any reason to do that other than you just made an assumption. So, no. Since then, I have become aware of new information that has changed my understanding of parts of what happened. Chapel Roan made a public statement, reached out privately to Catherine, and our teams also spoke directly. It became clear that she had no knowledge of what took place at breakfast and had not asked anyone to approach them. She was understanding and sympathetic to what had happened to our child. Yeah, more than she should have been, probably. The security guard himself has since confirmed publicly that he was representing another artist at the hotel at the time. No one's ever... I mean, people have kind of put two and two together. It seems like he was maybe Sabrina Carpenter's bodyguard, which is interesting that they're not shifting the blame onto Sabrina at all. It seems like they only wanted to stick it to Chapel for some reason. While we still do not know what prompted him to approach them, and do not believe an 11-year-old at breakfast could reasonably be seen as any kind of security threat, it is now clear that he was not acting on behalf of Chapel. To still... Whatever. It was ultimately a misunderstanding in that respect, and I am glad to set the record straight. It is important to me that this is clarified fairly and accurately. I regret the impact this situation has had on Chapel Roan, Catherine, Ada, and our family. You're saying I regret the impact. Do you maybe want to say words along the lines of, like, I'm sorry? Do you want to do an actual apology? Because I think you maybe owe that to some people, including your daughter. I will always stand up for my family, but I also know how to recognize when things were not quite what they seemed at first. You never had to say anything at first at all. Thank you for the support we received during this sensitive moment. It's like, they're still acting, and this is the issue I have up here too, of like, while we still do not know what prompted him to approach them, and do not believe an 8-year-old at breakfast could reasonably be seen as any kind of security threat, and then the whole, this sensitive moment, it's like they're just acting like what happened to that little girl was so terrible. Like the security guard punched her in the face or something because he thought she was a security threat, when really what it sounds like he did is he just walked up to the mother and daughter and were like, hey, please stop what you're doing. You can't just harass people like this. Like, she got lectured by a person in a position of authority. That happens sometimes when you're a kid, you know? And sometimes it hurts your feelings. Sometimes it sucks. You know, I think we've all been yelled at by an adult in our childhoods in a way that felt unfair to us, and in ways that maybe even was kind of fair. If we look back, we're like, oh yeah, I actually was being kind of a menace. But even in situations where I look back and I'm like, oh, that adult was being real fucking weird. They should not have been yelling at me for that. I was a child. Even in those situations, it's like, well, yeah, but that happens sometimes. Sometimes you just get yelled at as a kid, and it sucks, and it's awful. And I think people do treat children a little too aggressively sometimes when they're lecturing them. But she didn't die. She just experienced something that every other child does at some point. But maybe it's just not something that this child is used to because of who her fucking parents are. I do not support or encourage hate speech or online attacks from any side. Respect, empathy, and humility are values I carry and teach my family every single day. What do you mean you don't support or encourage hate speech or online attacks from any side? You did like at Chapel Roan, you don't deserve your fans or something. Or you said like at Chapel Roan fans, she doesn't deserve you. She doesn't respect you or value you. Like, what? It was such a direct attack on Chapel. And now we're just acting like he just merely spoke his truth that day. Fuck right off. As far as I'm concerned, this matter is closed. I was like, okay, well, I'm glad you get to decide. I'm glad you get to decide when the matter is closed. Fuck off. So annoying. Anyway. Another update. This one, good. The Wireless Festival has been cancelled after the British government banned Kanye West from entering the United Kingdom, which is to allow an entire festival to be cancelled because you couldn't let one headlining act go. And maybe he was the only headliner. Maybe he was the thing that, like, the entire festival was rooted around. But that's still crazy. Especially when it's a guy who's, like, up until recently an admitted Nazi. You should have had a backup plan in the fucking first place and should have been a little bit more willing to let that one act go. But instead you let your entire festival crumble. And all the other artists that were excited to perform all get fucked over, I guess? Whatever. Now, in terms of men doing insane shit, Usher has announced a joint tour with Chris Brown not too long after defending Diddy.
Nick frankly can suck my fucking toe.
Awful. But I guess, okay. I don't know what else we expected, I suppose. I didn't know that Usher was like this, for one thing. I knew that he had a connection with Diddy in the past, but I didn't know that he was, like, an ongoing supporter. I don't know if he's done anything with Chris Brown prior to this, like, recently. No idea. But, yeah, kind of disappointing, because I did like Usher. I thought he's a very good performer, you know, especially for a man. Most men, they don't put in any effort. But I don't know. Sad. Really sad. And especially, too, the whole thing that he was saying about, like, Diddy, him not wanting to, like, throw away Diddy's influence or his legacy or whatever just because of some allegations or whatever it was that he said. It's like, okay, I don't know how important Diddy was to, like, music in general. Like, I guess he has a lot of stuff as a producer that he did, but I've just never been super taken by Diddy's discography. But, you know, I'm also, I understand that, like, I'm a white girl. It's not, like, maybe there's things that I'm not understanding about their influence and their legacy, but I know people have done this with Chris Brown over the years, too, of, like, just because Chris Brown beat Rihanna up, he's still, like, such an incredible artist, and he's still so important culturally, and I've always thought that with Chris Brown, too. I'm like, is he really? Am I missing something? Do I not understand? Do I not have the knowledge of Chris Brown's career and of like, R&B in general to like, really situate his career into a larger legacy? Like, I just don't... Chris Brown, to me, was never that important. He is a good dancer, he's a good performer, but, like, is his music that good? I didn't think so. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Either way, fuck him. Anyway, Pink has been announced as the host for the Tony Awards. Don't really have anything to say about that, but cool. I'm probably not gonna watch him, but I don't know. That's nice. Olivia Rodrigo has started teasing her new single, which should be out. It says out next Friday, so I think this coming Friday. So that's cool. She is also going to be hosting SNL coming this Saturday. She's hosting and the musical guest, so that'll be fun. And then Tyla is teasing a single with, we believe, Zara Larsson, because she had been doing a lot of stuff with Zara for a while. Like, and I think there are videos or photos of them in the studio together, so it does seem like they were gearing up for some sort of collab, so they're teasing something now. I'm assuming that's Zara. Don't know for sure, but I would assume that looks like Zara Larsson to me. So, Tyla and Zara, single coming. We also, I haven't watched this yet, but Laufey did do a music video for Mad Woman that came out earlier today with Elisa Liu and Hudson Williams, and then Cat's Eyes Megan and Lola Tung. Don't really know much about that, but there's some new music there, so that's nice. We also have some teasing from Ms. Ariana Grande for a new album, which is exciting. And TMZ is reporting that the album is finished and coming sometime around the summer. We don't know that that's true for sure. That's just what TMZ is saying. But it does at least seem like she's in the studio doing something. And this is on, because this would be her 8th album. And on the 8th photo of this little, what do you call it, a carousel? On Instagram, there's this image, so that maybe that's related to, like, the album name or something. Oh, Leve. Well, whichever. And then, I don't know, I'm not surprised. Is she oh no, I thought she was holding a cat for a second. But I at one point before when she was planning the tour and everything, I remember her saying something about how she wasn't gonna have time, or she was gonna be too busy to, like, make new music. And even back then, I don't know if she was being truthful. Maybe she was just, like, trying to throw people off her scent or something. But even back then, I was like, I think she's gonna make an album. Because I just think that with Eternal Sunshine, it really did seem like she kind of revitalized her love of music and her love of being a pop star, especially with, like, the deluxe edition and the short film that she did. So I was like, oh, for sure something will happen, you know? Like, I think that she's just gonna get inspired, probably, because especially Eternal Sunshine was more, it wasn't, like, singer-songwriter-esque in genre, but it was pretty confessional. And so I just was like, it's so much has happened in her life where I think that she's probably going to want to express it through music in some form soon. And I think with Ariana, even if she's on tour and whatnot, she is just like, she produces her own vocals and shit. So she doesn't need to like have collaborators around her as much as a lot of other artists would to make her album. She really probably could make the entire album by herself, but I'm sure there'll be other producers involved. But like, she's just so ready to make an album at any point because of her own skills as a producer. So, you know, I was expecting this, and it's nice to see it confirmed. We do also have an announcement. I guess Gracie Abrams is releasing a third studio album. I don't know. I may listen. I may not. I might listen at least to have an idea of what it sounds like, but I'll just be honest, I've just never been very interested in Gracie Abrams. But I'm not that familiar with her discography anyway. I've only heard a few songs, and the few songs I've heard just didn't wow me. So I don't know about that one, but I'll give it a listen maybe. I don't know. She's teasing her third album. I don't know if it's gonna be like witch themed. Who's to say? I don't know. But there it is. If anyone's interested in that, there it is. And then we also have some updates with Gaga. So, still a lot of promo happening for the Devil Wears Prada 2 movie. So Meryl Streep and Anna Wintour were on the cover of Vogue recently because in the Devil Wears Prada universe, Meryl Streep is essentially playing Anna Wintour, but for a magazine called Runway instead of Vogue. Now, I don't know. I thought Anna Wintour's leaving Vogue, isn't she? Is she still there now? Or did she already leave? I don't know. But I'm not super excited about the movie. But I'm excited about Gaga's contributions to it because she released a song on... what day was it? Was it Thursday or Friday? She released her song with Doechii, Runway, which I really did like. I think it's a great, especially for like a soundtrack song. And so there's rumors that with The Devil Wears Prada 2, there's gonna be some sort of like EP, like Gaga's maybe doing an EP with multiple female collaborators. Like Chappell Roan is rumored to be on it, Madonna is rumored to be on it, which would be insane. I'm really trying not to get my hopes up too much, but at the moment we do know that there are at least 2 songs, because there's the Runway one with Doechii, and then there's also the other one that was in the trailer. I don't remember what that one was called, but that one I think is just Gaga. So for sure she's at least done 2 songs for the soundtrack. Maybe we're getting a whole EP. I don't know. It's not outside the realm of possibility. She did a whole album for the Joker movie. So I don't know. I'm trying not to think about it too much because the idea of like a Gaga and Madonna collab is crazy, and if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be so devastated if I like really get my hopes up. So I'm trying not to get my hopes up. So for all I know right now, there are only 2 Lady Gaga songs on The Devil Wears Prada 2, and I also think that the movie's probably gonna be bad. I don't think the movie will be good. Every like trailer, everything I've seen about the movie outside of the Lady Gaga-ness of it all does not please me, especially as someone who like The Devil Wears Prada is one of my favorite movies. And I don't like what I'm seeing so far with the promo for the new movie. But I'll see it, I guess. And I'll probably love the soundtrack. Now Gaga is on her very last Mayhem Ball shows. She's doing her last one tonight. I think doors opened maybe about 7 minutes ago. So I don't want it to take over the show. I'm not going to let it take over our show. But I may be checking in every now and then just to see how it's going, to see if she's doing anything new, you know, see if there's any announcement or anything. Because this is the first time that we've had a proper finale for a Lady Gaga tour since I think since Art Rave. So since like 2013, 2014, 2015 maybe. I don't remember exactly when that ended. But I think that was the last proper finale that a Gaga show got, because Joanne got canceled. The last few shows got canceled because of a flare-up with fibromyalgia. And then the final Chromatica Ball got... I think she did part of the performance, but then like the second half got rained out and they had to cancel the rest of it because it was an outdoor stadium. So this is the first finale show we've had from Gaga in a long time, and you know, who's to say? Maybe she'll pull out something new, maybe she'll announce something, I don't know. So I'm gonna probably be paying like a little bit of attention to it. Just, you know, just checking in here and there throughout the stream. I don't know exactly what time. She usually goes on stage around like 9 o'clock-ish. Yeah, there's a stream on YouTube that's scheduled for 8:30, so I might check into it around that time. But this was her a few nights ago. She put on a little wig, did a little fame pose, loved it, great. It's been a very nostalgia-heavy tour, so I'll be sad to see it go, but you know, all good things must come to an end. Now let's talk about Coachella. There was a lot of stuff that happened. So there's this artist, I don't know, is it Anima? I'm assuming that's how you pronounce their name. They had a show that got fully canceled. So they said, "I'm heartbroken. I don't have many words other than to say I'm truly devastated and deeply sorry to everyone who showed up to the main stage and to those watching the live stream at home. Having the opportunity to perform the new Eden show and share all the new music and art means more to me than I can express. It's incredibly painful, especially after working day and night for the past year. Not just me, but my team and the Coachella crew who poured everything into this. Safety was and always will be our biggest concern. The dangerous winds not only prevented us and Coachella from building our stage, but also made it impossible for my entire live setup and performance to operate safely. Unfortunately, there will be no other slots available for me to perform the Aiden show this weekend. I'm working on a solution to bring you some music at least, but I don't want to impose on the other artist slots. Updates soon." This is just like... that sucks. Oh, they have allegations? Well, then I guess maybe I don't feel as bad. But, like, can you imagine preparing so much for your show and then it gets canceled last minute because of the wind, because of just, like, the weather? Which is also why I understand why some people like going to stadiums and stuff, but, like, those are more affected by weather, and this is an outdoor festival, too, so that's even worse. But, like, an indoor arena, that's the place to be. Now, number one, because it sounds better, but then number two, you're indoors. People risk so much doing outdoor shows. But I guess maybe because it's the desert, you think that it's going to be more stable weather, because it's not going to, like, rain or anything. But, I mean, those winds are bad. So, yeah, they got their entire show canceled. They'll still have next weekend, I'm assuming. But that really sucks. And then there were a few other smaller things with artists that I wasn't paying too much attention to. So Young Thug, I guess, started, like, complaining about Tiana Taylor after spotting her in the crowd with Northwest. I couldn't find a clip of this. And also I'm trying to be really sparing with the clips here, too, with our Coachella coverage, because they are copyright claiming people like fucking mad. So I'm trying not to use too many clips from the actual live stream. If we're showing any clips, we're mostly going to show, like, camera footage from people there, because that's a little bit easier to get past the copyright claim things, but I couldn't even find a video of this in the first place, so I don't know exactly how he said this. But he said, Teyana Taylor in here, what's up? I've been trying to get in touch with her for the last month. I wanted her to style me. She too big, wasn't calling back. Talking about, we promise she's gonna call back later. We promise she's rehearsing. I'm like, what's she rehearsing for? And there's a part of me that's like, okay, maybe don't harass her. God, there's a thunderstorm outside of my apartment right now. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but hopefully we don't lose power and the stream doesn't end. That's a possibility, though. But there's a part of me that's like, okay, don't harass her while she's in the audience. Like, a little uncalled for. But he's not making it about, it's not like sexual harassment or anything. He's just kind of making a general complaint about she wanted her to style him and she wouldn't call back. So in a way, I kind of get it. You know? Sometimes you're just feeling fucking petty and you're like, hey, you wouldn't call me back, but you'll come to my performance? I get it a little bit. And then apparently Camila Cabello also did a little guest thing on Young Thug's stage. Didn't really see it. Okay, I don't want to play that too much because Coachella is gonna copyright claim me, but cool. Love that. Major Lazer brought out MIA. That makes me sad. I used to be a very big MIA fan. Not so much anymore. But, you know, I'm glad to see her doing something other than promoting aluminum foil hats. And then Lizzo performed with a life-size Labubu during Sexy Red's Coachella set. Cool. It is a menacing Labubu. And I guess, so I'm not really super up on the Cat's Eye stuff. I don't know much about it, but I agree with this tweet. I try to stay out of the kids' business, but I don't understand how Cat's Eye is performing without a member at Coachella, and that member is literally there in the crowd. So I understand. There are many members of Cat's Eye. One of them has now left the group, but they haven't officially left the group yet. I'm very confused about all that. But I guess they performed without her. But she was still there. This is why I can't do the like group things, is there's always infighting, there's always like different dynamics. I can't keep track of it. It's overwhelming. But okay. Oh, she has health issues? Okay, so is that why she's not performing? Or is she left the group? I don't know. I agree with this person. I do try to stay out of the kids' business, so. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. She's on hiatus. Apparently she was fired. That's what is implied. Yeah, I don't know. But any of the Cat's Eye fans in here, I hope that you're doing well with however you feel about this news. And then Ethel Cain did perform. I didn't see her entire performance, but from what I saw, looked good. Only 8-song set list, but, you know, good for a festival spot. Seemed good. Then we also had Somber. He did a whole set. He brought out Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins. He did okay. I did watch a fair amount of his set. Jesus Christ, it's really pouring down out there. But I watched a fair amount of his. It was good. At one point, though, he said something about like, okay, thanks, Coachella. I'll see you next when I headline. And I was like, okay, well, let's not push it. You did okay. And I understand what he's trying to do, because that's what Sabrina did. She said the thing at her last Coachella show of like, oh, I'll be back when I headline. But it's like, well, that was Sabrina Carpenter. And you're not. So, you know, yeah, and Billy Corgan is an alt-right nutjob. I don't keep up with him too much, but I do know that, like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said very many things that have annoyed me about, like, other genres of music. Like, he said some weird stuff about pop music. He said some weird stuff about rap music. So I'm not a huge fan of Billy Corgan as like a person, but the performance was fine. But I don't know about headlining next time, Somber. I don't know that pulling out Billy Corgan is enough to justify that. Now, he did post this onto TikTok that I thought was kind of funny.
Guys, I really need help. So I just played Coachella, and I was feeling really spontaneous, so I was like, you know, why don't I put on eyeliner for this Coachella set? I've never worn eyeliner on stage today. I applied it myself, and now I don't know how to get it off. I, like, wash my eyes so many times, like, but, like, do you need makeup remover or something? Like, I put soap in my fucking eye. Guys, I really need help. So I just played...
He put soap in his eye? I did... At first, I was like, he must be lying. Like, he's making himself sound dumber just for, like, engagement on TikTok or something. Like, there's no way he actually put soap in his eye. But then I was thinking about it, and, like, I do think men are kind of that dumb. That sounds really mean, just to be like, oh, they're all stupid. But they're dumb in terms of, like, makeup. Like, they didn't grow up in makeup culture, so they don't know. But I'm like, well, yeah, if there's something called makeup remover, wouldn't you think that that's a required part? I mean, you can use soap and stuff to remove makeup. There are, like, facial washes that will say, like, removes makeup. But, like, yeah, if it's something on your eye, yeah, get a fucking makeup wipe and take it off. And I do think that a lot of men don't know what to do, because I remember once in, like, middle school or high school, there was a guy who was, like, he was, like, a football player. He was kind of stereotypically masculine, but his sister was really into, like, drama stuff. She was in, like, all the plays, and so she convinced him to be in the school play for, like, something. I don't remember what he played, but he had to wear makeup, and specifically eyeliner and, like, mascara on stage, and then he came to school the next day with mascara and eyeliner still on his face, and everyone was making fun of him, and he's like, I don't know how to take it off. I tried all night. And so I think Somber is being honest. I think that this actually is something that men are just kind of dumb about. But I don't know, it's like, you know that makeup remover is a thing, so yeah, you'd need makeup remover. And I'm assuming you're at a hotel, they probably have makeup wipes there. But, you know, I guess it's just not... It's not intuitive knowledge for people. But yes, Somber, you do need makeup remover. And it didn't look that bad. I mean,
Guys, I really need help. So I just played Coachella. I was like, you know, why don't...
It doesn't look that bad. It looks like it's mostly off. But yeah, his performance was fine. Not gonna talk too much shit about Somber today. He was fine. Pink Pantheress was great. Julian Casablancas of The Strokes was upset that he missed it because of his own schedule. Here he is.
Oh man, I'm bummed. I wanted to see Pink Pantheress playing at the same time as us. The fuck, man? They fucked us! But thanks for coming, appreciate it. I know there's a lot of cool shit to see. Oh man.
So that was cool. Love to see, especially a man shouting Pink Pantheress out. I don't know much about Julian Casablancas. The only thing that I really know him for is that SNL sketch, the Lonely Island one, Boombox. I don't even think it was that popular of a Lonely Island sketch, but I remember it very well. And he was in that. So you'll have my respect for that, Julian. But so I was a little taken aback by the fact that Pink Pantheress, who I do think is clearly one of the biggest artists right now, and to a degree where, like, even though she herself is a newer artist in terms of, like, mainstream attention, she is clearly, like, super influential. I mean, I think that even Zara Larsson's current standing and her current, her most recent escape from the Kaya Asylum, I think has a lot to do with Pink Pantheress. So Pink is, like, a huge artist at the current moment. I was a little shook by the fact that she wasn't on the main stage, but I guess that was of her own request. Here's what she had to say.
One thing about me is I don't enjoy performing to super large crowds, so I really try and cap it where I can. Even at Coachella, you know, I think I don't know if they've announced the stages yet, actually. But even at Coachella, I basically put in a request to not do main stage because I even if it was offered to me, but it's just too big, I think, for the kind of performer I am. And also, my voice is so quiet, and I think it can get lost if it's just too many people. So I'd say, so yeah, but it feels amazing regardless of how many people there is. It's an amazing feeling regardless, I think. And one thing about my fans which I have noticed is that they really do sing those lyrics. Like it's crazy. I was like, damn, it's really loud in here. One thing about me is I don't.
So that eased me a little bit because I spent a fair amount of the entire weekend being like, this person gets to be on the main stage but not Pink Pantheress. But it was her decision, so I do respect that. But I was a little shook at first. I was like, they're not putting my bitch on the main stage? But you know what? Listen. You're gonna have to get over it at some point, Pink, because I do think that you should headline maybe someday. But I don't know, maybe she'll never want to do it. Oh, and this has already been disabled. Okay, so we can't really show that. But good performances from Pink. Looked really cool. Jesus Christ, that wind is bad. We're gonna get shut down just like Anima's performance at Coachella. I hope not. She brought out Tyreek Withers. I don't know who the fuck that is, if I'm being honest with you, but he is cute. So there's that. And then she had some... Oh, she also brought out, Thundercat, which that's already also been disabled. They're quick. And then she also had some British guards that were walking around the next day? Or no, they were walking around earlier that day, yeah, because it says 8:55 tonight. So that's cute. And then we had FKA Twigs, who was also not on the main stage, which I thought was a little ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as Pink Pantheress, but she looked fantastic. Can't show much of that performance because of the copyright, but here's some cell phone footage. Yeah, she was great. Very, very good. And then we have Addison Rae, who, separate of the Coachella stuff, who issued a copyright claim of her own against Homeland Security. So maybe she did it fast too, because this update is from 4:33 p.m. April 10th. The video was posted at 10 a.m., 10:40 a.m. So like within the day, she got this entire thing taken down. So Homeland Security had posted these like disgusting thirst traps with ice agents. It was gross. And they put Diet Pepsi, the song, over these thirst trap videos of ice. And Addison or someone on her team got it taken down real quick just with a copyright claim, which is interesting because it's like, can anybody do that? Because we've seen other celebrities like Sabrina Carpenter and other people speaking out against the White House using their music, period. But this is the first time we've seen someone actually just issue a copyright claim, which I always thought in that time. I was like, can't they just claim it and get it taken down? Why would they not be able to do that? But I was like, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of legal thing with it being the White House. I don't know, because no one's doing it. But no, apparently you can do it. And Addison did. Which is just, it's so good. It's so good. And yet Taylor Swift couldn't say a damn word. You know, and that's the thing too, is I saw a lot of other people being like, well, why did Sabrina Carpenter do this? Why didn't Olivia Rodrigo do this? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, yeah, they maybe didn't do this and they could have, but they at least said something. There's really only one person who hasn't said anything. And that's still pretty crazy to me. But Addison's performance at Coachella was fantastic. Pitchfork even called it exceptional. Wish I could play clips from it, but I will definitely get claimed for that. She brought out Maddie Ziegler, the dancer, who I literally did not even recognize. I had no idea. I was like, who's this lady? that's dancing on the stage and seems to be spotlighted that I've never once seen in my life. But I guess that's Maddie Ziegler, all grown up. How old is she now? And then Chapel Roan was in the audience, which we love to see. There she is right over there. And then I'm gonna play just like a second of this. Here's Addison leaving the stage.
Thank you! And to my haters, suck my dick!
Suck her dick. Love it. Now, Slater also performed. Slater, separate of Coachella, had a big feat this week. She was #1 on the top dance albums on Billboard. So not, #1 on the main top 200 charts, but still #1 in a respected genre, or a genre that I respect a whole lot. So very, very cool. She had a lot of celebrities, a lot of the performers had billboards going up to the Coachella, to the desert. Slater apparently couldn't afford a billboard, so she just got some people in bunny costumes and said I could not afford a billboard. But they stood on the side of the road. And then she apparently made her own outfit as well, and Vogue did an entire article on it, showing how she sewed everything. Oh, she's so cool. So that's how it started. That's the original fabric. And then, oh, and here's another, something I need to say. Where's the fucking merch for the album? Why can I not buy a Worst Girl in America hat on her website? You're doing everything so well, Slater, but I do need that. I do need some merch soon. Please and thank you. Yeah, here's her work in progress. And apparently she finished like the night before. Oh, she's so cool. And then she gave people in the audience bunny ears. She's so generous. What a queen. And she had a live band for the first time, I guess, in her career. It looked really great. Here's the problem. So, her time slot was 3 o'clock or something in Las Vegas, which would have been like 6 o'clock here. Her time slot was before the live stream started, which I already don't understand. Why? Why not just live stream the entire thing? Especially because they were filming it. Like, they did film her set, and then they played it later during a replay, but they didn't just stream it live at the time. Why? I just don't... What was the reason? But so they didn't stream it at the time. They then played it for the first time. They streamed it for the first time later in the night at 9 o'clock, which, okay, maybe that's more of like a prime time slot that's almost kind of cool, except it was exactly when the Sabrina Carpenter set started. So they made my girl compete with Sabrina Carpenter, the headliner on the main stage, for a replay of her set from 3 o'clock. Didn't make any fucking sense. Just setting her up for failure. And then on top of it, this made me really fucking mad. When they were streaming it for like the entire first half, they were playing the like ambient music from the waiting screen. So like in between all the sets, Coachella does like waiting music, like this ambient music. They forgot to turn it off when they switched over to her set. So you would hear Slater's music, and then on top of it, there was just this ambient music that kept coming like in and out. And it was so, sometimes I could forget that it was there, especially when the music was really loud. But as soon as the music started to quiet down a little bit, you would just hear this like, and it sounded completely off key from the music. It was so fucking infuriating. They have since then re-aired the stream correctly, but the first time they showed it, not only was it during Sabrina Carpenter's set, the first half of her set, they just completely fucked it up. I was infuriated. This is kind of a recreation here. I don't think this is the exact audio.
I'm getting twinky, I'm heading out, bitch, I'm onto something. I stray just like a dog addicted to that heavy fucking. I wanna get on it, jump on and ride it until the morning.
It was awful. Even then this version sounds better than it actually sounded the day of, because it was off key. Oh, it was so bad. And then Slater, my poor girl, had to tweet, re-airing 6:50 a.m. Pacific time and noon Pacific time tomorrow, and they fixed the audio. Woohoo! Girl, they should have had that audio fixed the first fucking time. And especially, it went on for multiple songs. It went on for at least like 4 songs. I could understand maybe the first song, they didn't catch it, but like, was no one watching the stream? You don't have anyone watching the stream, like, on their own phone or something to make sure that everything's coming out right? No one noticed? And they had, part of the issue too is I think they had the comments off, because they were turning chat on and off depending on the performance. But I don't understand the decision-making behind, like, which streams had chat and which didn't. Maybe it was by the artist request, but it's like they literally just turned off the audience's ability to tell them that something was wrong. So, I don't know. It was really, it just felt very disrespectful. Extremely disrespectful. But it was a great set. She did great. She had a bunny in the audience as well, which was cute. Very, very well done on her end. Anyway, let's go to our first headliner. So Sabrina Carpenter, she did a really cool photo shoot with Perfect magazine recently, and just wanted to shout that out. I really liked all the photos that came out of that. I do, her aesthetic has been pretty well honed in these last few years. And I think that if she wants to continue writing that for a while, she can go for it. But, if she does want to mix up the style a little bit, I do think that what she was doing in the Perfect magazine interview photo shoot, I think that was really cool too. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of like this from her, something a little bit more messy, a little edgier. But it was cool. And she did a lot of promo for her show going in. So she did this whole like stop motion teaser like a day or two before. And I love stop motion, so I thought this was very cool. And just like a tiny little like 15-second thing. And stop motion, it's a lot of work, Someone has to literally, they just move it and just keep moving it. It's a lot of work that goes into something that you didn't even really need to do. And especially in the era of AI, I do appreciate it. She also had some cool stuff outside of Coachella, like on the way there was some like Sabrina's pit stop stuff, very desert inspired, very kind of like Vegas inspired, because that is also in the desert. Kind of looks like if you ever look at those wedding chapels in Vegas, they always have the pink Corvettes and stuff outside. So that was really cool, super involved. And then the show was great. She had huge sets. It really like told a story. It started with like an opening where she was getting pulled over by this police officer, and then on her way to California, she gets to California, she like auditions, she gets like a, I don't know, record deal or something, and then there's a whole narrative to what she was doing. It was incredible. And I know these have already been copyright striked, so can't show you these, but a lot of references to different movies, all that jazz was in there. Some people were also picking up on some like Dirty Dancing stuff. I don't know if it was Dirty Dancing or if it was just all that jazz. Maybe it was a combination of both, but very inspired set. And then a lot of cameos. So Sam Elliott was the police officer in the opening filmed thing. Then we had Susan Sarandon doing a whole like monologue thing for like 10 minutes. It was a little excessive to me. Maybe I'll like it more the second time. I don't know. Do we think she'll even be there? Is it going to be the exact same the second weekend? Like, is she going to do this exact same monologue, or will it be something new? I guess we'll find out. And then this guy, like, interrupted her. I guess, is that Corey Fogelmanis? I don't know who that is. And then Will Ferrell was there. And then Samuel L. Jackson did a voice thing for, she, like, hit a gong. And then Samuel L. Jackson said some stuff. It was cool. The Susan Sarandon stuff, I did think went on for a little bit long, but I had taken an edible, so I think that my sense of time was just a little warped, because I was like, what is happening? I forgot that I was even watching a music performance. I was like, is this just a thing with Susan Sarandon now? I was confused. But here's a whole script. I didn't really follow all of it, but again, I was under the influence, so maybe I'll watch it later and I'll understand it more. But there was a little bit of controversy, so can't play this clip because it got claimed. But I'll just, I guess, explain. There was someone in the audience at one point. Sabrina had gone to like a piano to do some songs on the piano. And then there was someone who was making like what to Sabrina sounded like a yodeling sound, but turned out to be different. It was something with Arabic culture. It's zakruta. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was something that was cheaper to people than like a yodel. But Sabrina thought it was a yodel. She said something about like, what is that noise? I don't like it. And then the woman who was doing it yelled out like, it's part of my culture. And then she went, your culture is yodeling? And then she was like, oh, this is so weird. What is this, Burning Man? Like, it was bad. The way that she responded wasn't great. And in the moment, I was like, ugh, I don't know about that. But I think that what was really happening was like, she was going to the piano. She wanted, the video is all over TikTok if you want to find it. I'm sure it is, but the thing is that if it's already getting claimed on Twitter, if I play it on this stream, it's definitely gonna get claimed. But what I think happened is like she wanted everyone to quiet down for her piano stuff. So she was maybe just trying to like make a joke of like, hey, I don't like that. That's weird. Ha 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 ha. Without just like being like, hey, everyone shut the fuck up. I think she was trying to kind of lighten the mood and get people to quiet down without making like too much of a big thing of it, but then it sort of became a bigger thing. So it was a bad moment, and I also think that she couldn't, as she says here, she couldn't really hear clearly, because it's like she's on stage and this is just a person yelling from the audience and like explaining their cultural connection to this sound that they're making. But so it wasn't handled well, and she said, my apologies, I didn't see this person with my eyes and couldn't hear clearly. My reaction was pure confusion, sarcasm, and not ill-intended. Could have handled it better. Now I know what a zakruta is. I welcome all cheers and yodels from here on out. So, you know, it is what it is. I understand why people were a little put off by it, because it did seem a little insensitive in the moment, but I think that she was just, in the moment, like, trying to move the show along. And so I get it. And also it's just like, in the current moment, as insensitive as it maybe was, it's like, we just have too many bigger things to worry about as like a culture and as a nation. That's not to say that like, we shouldn't ever comment on these like pettier issues. Sometimes we should. But just like, are we gonna make a huge thing out of it? I don't think so, because it just not that important in the grander scale of things. But whatever. The performance was great. It got a perfect score from Guardian. Everybody loved it. It was fantastic. And then came the next night with our other headliner, who may or may not be the highest paid headliner in Coachella history. This is something that's getting shared around a lot. Let's, for one thing, note that this is just like some knockoff pop news account, some Pop Crave thing that's not actually Pop Crave. So we don't really know. It has been reported by Rolling Stone that he's made somewhere around $10 million for this set, which that is the highest amount we're aware of any artist being paid to headline Coachella. But we don't know for sure how much any of these other artists got. So I don't think we can say for certain that Justin Bieber got paid more than every other artist, but it is possible. Certainly possible. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that he put any of that, or he didn't put much of that money toward his production. It wasn't, I don't want to be like too harsh on him, because I think that the set was like okay, but it's very easy to meme on, and I've seen a lot of good memes. But like, was he bad? No, not necessarily. First of all, he sounded really good. I didn't watch the entire performance. I went in and out, but it was just really boring. It's kind of the main thing. It was just not very interesting to me. His voice sounded great. His voice sounds fantastic. Who pays for the production? Usually I think it's the record label or the artist. Maybe Coachella puts a little bit of money toward it, but I think it's mostly the label / artist. But I don't know how it all doles out. Ultimately, the artist isn't in charge of their own set, so I'm sure that some people are putting their own money into it, but Justin definitely was not. His set was okay. It was just like, it was very plain. Let me see if I can find a photo of the actual set. Oh shit, Gaga's starting, I think. Here she is. Oh, she's incredible. Okay, but here's Bieber. So that was kind of what his set looked like. If you zoom out a little, I'm trying to find a better photo, but it was just this like kind of plain white thing. And then he had his laptop up there. And that's where things kind of really started to go off the rails. So I had been watching it for a bit. I had turned it on, wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it because it just wasn't that interesting to me. But he sounded good, and I didn't know most of the songs. A lot of it was stuff from his newer album, which I did listen to at one point. I listened to it and I thought it was like okay, but I haven't listened to this song since then, so I don't really know them. And so it was just like every new song that he did, I was like, I don't know this one either. I don't know this one either. I don't know this one either. When is he gonna do Baby? And so this person is saying, in case you're wondering, Justin Bieber probably didn't perform all his old songs in full and just his new songs because he sold his catalog, by the way, and wanted to perform what he owns, which maybe is what's happening because he doesn't get like royalties or anything from his old work anymore. So there's no like financial reason for him to promote those tracks anymore. But it's like, well, but that's what people wanted to hear. So I don't know. But it was just a little odd, the emphasis that was put on the new album versus his hits. I understand, like, integrating the new album into your set, but, like, can we get a few hits in there? Just, like, a little. So I watched it for a little bit, then I turned it off. I, like, just turned on something else for a little bit. Then I went back, so I was like, let me see what else he's doing. And when I came back, this motherfucker was just watching YouTube videos. Like, and I get it in some ways, because earlier in the set, I had seen him, like, reacting to the chat a little bit and, like, seeming to take requests from them, which I was already a little suspicious of the idea that he was actually taking requests. I think that, like, I do think a lot of people are saying that, like, he went out there with no plan whatsoever and that he was just taking requests from the chat, and that's definitely not true. There definitely were some planned stuff, because he had some guests that came out, like the kid Leroy came out and did that song Stay. That seemed very planned. So there for sure was like some stuff in place of like, we're gonna do this song and then this song and then this song. Was the request that he was doing, were those genuine, or was he just saying that like, oh, people on the chat want to see this song, so I'm gonna do this? I don't know. It's possible that he was just lying about what he was seeing in the chat. But then he just started, after that, literally watching videos on stage. And I kind of get it, because he started his career on YouTube, right? And so as this fan was saying, this is where it all started. So I think maybe for some Bieber fans, this felt really nostalgic of like, he's referencing the beginnings of his career. He even like played the videos that got him his record deal of him as like a little kid, and then he was also watching his own music videos and singing along to them. It was very strange, but I understood it because I was like, okay, this gives it kind of a more intimate feel in a lot of ways of like, we're just with Justin. It was like he was live streaming. It was like he's doing what I'm doing right now, except for he was able to play more music and stuff because he wasn't worried about getting copyright claimed. So he was just like live streaming, which I know that he's done some Twitch streams and stuff before. So it kind of made sense of like, well, this is his brand now, and his entire career has been based around the internet. So I get it. Okay, where it started to get a little weird to me was when he just started playing oh fuck, this is also copyright claimed. He just started playing other random videos. Like, he played Double Rainbow, he played D's Nuts, he was just watching YouTube. It was kind of cute. Again, because it felt sort of intimate in a way, but it was also like, but is this the place to do that? Is this the intimate stage, or is this the main stage at Coachella that's being live streamed to like thousands to millions of people? You know, I thought that the format was maybe a little inappropriate for what he was doing. And also, yeah, so Justin Bieber played the iconic D's Nuts video on the Coachella main stage. It says, what if the coworker who makes you watch unfunny videos you've already seen headlined Coachella? It did feel a little bit like that. It felt like we were captive. Except you could turn the stream off, and I did a few times. But it did feel a little bit like, I'm here for music. Is he gonna play music, or is he just gonna show me videos I've already seen? But it was kind of fun, you know? Like, it gives you something to talk about. It was certainly, as much as I did get bored a few times while he was performing music, when he was showing random videos, I was intrigued. I was fascinated. I was hypnotized in some ways of just like, what's going on? is he really doing this? And he was. And we did get a few reactions from some other people. So Zara Larson, here she is watching it.
Whoa, that's a full rainbow. All the way. Double.
What the fuck?
It's a double rainbow all the way. Whoa.
She did later clarify that she wasn't shading Justin there. She said, I was vibing hard. And like, you know, it can be both. You can be vibing hard and also shading him a little bit. That's fine. And then I saw a lot of people comparing it to like Gay Guy Music Video Night, which is in that way it is like it was kind of cute, especially watching him actually like sing along to his old performances and stuff, or his old songs. Like he put on the Baby music video and was singing along to it. It was kind of cute. And he was actually, like, he sounded good. I don't think that there was any moment where I was like, oh, Justin's voice sucks. He sounded good even while he was, like, singing along to his kids' stuff, where he had to go, like, an octave lower, you know? Because he can't change the key, because it's just, the song is what the song is. He didn't do any other arrangement. He's just playing the music video on a big screen via his laptop. So he couldn't change the key, but he was singing like an octave lower, and he sounded fine. Like he sounded nice, and it was kind of cute in a way, like seeing him look up at his like little kid self and singing along with it. But then he never, or from what I saw, he didn't ever like finish a video. He didn't like sing the whole song. He would turn it on for a few minutes, sing along to it, and then he'd be like, oh, okay, what's this one now? And like he actually was. He was better at it than I think me describing it would really portray, because while there were a few moments where the videos were like buffering and he was like, oh my god, the Wi-Fi out here, which first of all, I'm shocked that the Wi-Fi worked that well in the middle of the fucking desert, because it only buffered at the beginning of the videos, and I don't think it ever like buffered mid-video, which I was worried about. Every time he would like start singing along, I was like, oh my god, the video's gonna stop and it's gonna be so embarrassing. But that never happened. But he was, like, fairly good. He's a good Twitch streamer, is what I'll say. He's a good streamer. He was able to kind of, like, keep the audience engaged. But I don't know that this was the right avenue for that. I think maybe you could just do, like, a more traditional performance, and maybe even have, like, instead of just pulling out your laptop and playing the video from that, maybe he could have just done an entire performance of some of his old songs and had his like younger self behind him the whole time, instead of just like making it this weird thing of like, I'm just gonna play it for a second and then turn it off and play something else. It was strange, but I do think he pulled it off better than a lot of other people could have, which is saying something. I don't know. And then I also saw this in contrast to the Gay Guy Music Video Night, in straight male culture, showing someone a YouTube video means you love them. I thought Justin Bieber was perfect. It did feel kind of intimate, but in a way where I was like, well, I'm not like a believer, so I almost feel like I'm intruding, in a sense. I feel like your Coachella set should be something that's a little bit more like broad, you know? It should be something that's kind of made to please the masses a little bit more than just like your own core audience. But it did feel intimate and like chill in that way. So I think if you are like a huge believer, I don't know that you would dislike that performance. I feel like it actually maybe would have felt somewhat meaningful to you. I don't know. But I don't know. So like, as this person is saying, biggest star in the world sat his ass on stage and made his headlining show a personable, interactive hangout where he reminisced on his entire career. Sorry, that's special. Like, YouTube started his career. It's for me. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but couldn't he have just done that on like a Twitch stream or on a YouTube live or something? Did he have to do that at Coachella? Because he could have had an interactive hangout where he reminisced on his entire career at any point, just from the comfort of his own home. And maybe that would have been even more intimate in that way. But I don't know. Lizzo liked it. Lizzo said, I watched a pop star who grew up in front of the world fully transcend into his artistry last night. I watched someone who gave us his all, his whole life, finally nourish himself. I have no pictures or videos because I was fully present in the moment. What are these? Justin invited us, and whoever chose to come with him was blessed with a beautiful ride. When you use your gift for God, it will make people uncomfortable, but that's okay, because the ones who stick beside you will feel the love. Okay. But yeah, there he is watching his old videos in front of everybody. It was cute, kinda. It was also really weird. So I don't know. But it definitely, whether or not it was a good performance, I think we can all kind of agree that, like, there is a double standard with the amount of effort that men and women put into their work. And that's something that, like, other, like, female artists have acknowledged pretty readily, that, like, they understand that they could not get away with the things that Justin Bieber has done. So here's Katy, who we're going to talk about later, and we'll hold off judgments until then, but here's her talking about herself in comparison to, in this instance, Ed Sheeran.
In my next life, I'm gonna come back as Ed Sheeran. Me, my guitar, some cargo shorts, and a loop pedal. In my next life, I'm gonna come back.
And then here's Selena, Justin's ex, talking about this. Oh shit.
I could wear jeans and just switch. If I was a guy, I could wear jeans and just switch up my t-shirt and put a beanie on and nobody would care. Actually, I think the breasts are good.
You like it like this?
I don't know. I do need a little breast.
Yeah, it's just like no woman could really even get away with what Justin did on that stage. And I've seen some other people comparing it to like Adele just kind of stands on stage. She doesn't do a whole lot of dancing and stuff. But it's like, well, first of all, Adele doesn't do stuff that often in the first place. Like, even her doing a residency or a tour or anything, it's just kind of special. And she also has an incredible voice, which Justin has a good voice too. But, like, she's not watching YouTube videos on stage. That's something else. And the same thing with, like, Billie Eilish. Yeah, Billie Eilish doesn't do this, like, pageantry that, like, Selena and Katy do. She dresses a little bit more casually. She's got, like, hoodies and baggy clothes and stuff. But, like, Billie also puts on a much bigger, better show than what we saw from Justin last night. And again, she isn't just watching her own fucking videos via a laptop. It is different. Like, there is just no, you can't convince me that a woman could do this and get away with it. You just can't. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's okay. I mean, it's not okay. It's not okay with, like, the double standard, but, like, that doesn't necessarily make Justin's performance bad, right? It just, let's acknowledge the obvious double standard. And then that became even more fucking obvious with Karol G. See, I'm definitely gonna get claimed for this. Karol G's performance, which was fantastic, so colorful, so cool. Look at her she's got a big bird right there. I was trying to get something with, like, a better view of the stage, but I couldn't find a good image. But I really liked what she did with her set. Like, you can kind of see it back there, but it was like this kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but it was like cave-like, and it was cool. It was really cool. Her set was great. Her outfits were incredible. The choreography was incredible. She has great stage presence. Like, it just, like, literally two women, the bread of this headlining sandwich, where the meat in the middle just fucking sucks. It's just, like, one piece of salami, and then, like, two of the most, like, delicious pieces of bread you've ever seen in your life. Like, the most, like, carefully crafted piece of culinary art to make up the bread, and then inside is just a piece of salami. That's what it felt like. I'm just like, oh, okay. And he got the headlining, like he got the Saturday slot. And he maybe got paid more than any other artist in Coachella history. Okay. Great. But Carol G was great. She brought out Becky G. She also had like a mariachi band that was all women. You can see them over here, yeah. They looked super cool. It was a great performance. Carol was also the first Latina in history to headline Coachella, and she chose to send a powerful message with that slot.
And I'm very happy and very proud about this, but at the same time, it feels late. There has been 27 years about this festival going on, and it's the first time a Latina girl is headlining Coachella, so I just want to say that before me, there were so many great Latino artists, legendary Latino artists that gave me opportunity to be here tonight. So this is not just about me, this is about my Latina community, this is about my people. And at the same time, this is for my Latinos that have been struggling in this country lately. We stand for them. I stand for my Latina community, and at the same time, I'm very proud because this brings out the best of us: unity, resilience, a strong spirit. And we don't do this because we want to take everyone out. Actually, we do this because we want everyone to feel welcome to our culture, to our roots, to our music. So I just want everyone to feel proud of where you come from, please. Don't feel fear, feel proud. Raise your flag, levante esas banderas.
And then Justin Bieber played D's Nuts. And I guess, so Carol G's, I didn't watch the end of the performance because hers it started pretty late. It already was starting late in general, and then it started like 30 minutes after it was supposed to start. So I guess her set got cut short, so she had to improvise the end of it. And that really sucks. But at the same time, the set did start 30 minutes late, and I believe that Coachella has infamously been pretty strict about the times on Sunday specifically, that you cannot go past midnight on Sunday. So I don't know if that was Carol's fault that it started so late. I imagine it maybe was just like the building of the set. So hopefully they get that shit figured out for next week, because everyone gets another week of performances. So maybe we'll get to see Carol's entire original vision next Sunday. But she also got a 5-star from The Guardian, which is pretty significant. The Guardian's only given 5 stars to Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Billie Eilish, Doja Cat, and Sabrina Carpenter. Let's notice, all women. But we love to see it. So, I don't know what they gave Justin's performance. I just, it is what it is. The world works the way that the world works. For now. Doesn't have to forever. But I am, to be honest, and this is the thing that's fucked up, as much as Carol and Sabrina put on better performances, I am somewhat a little bit more intrigued to see what Justin does next week, because I'm like, how is he gonna do the same thing? Is he gonna just play other videos on stage again? Because the thing is that, like, these women, their shit was so choreographed and so, like, down to the second of, like, what the show was gonna be. So there is something a little bit exciting about the spontaneity of the Justin performance. Like, you just gonna watch different videos? Yeah, maybe he'll do Fortnite. Maybe he'll do like Roblox or something weird. Let's find out. He's an interesting man, but he is talented. Like, I do want to emphasize that like everyone is kind of dogging on him at the moment, but like I was pretty impressed with his vocals. He sounded great even when he was doing his like younger stuff. Maybe would have been cool to see him do like a full performance of that stuff. But he's talented. He's a talented guy. Anyway, moving on to let's go back to Miss Katy. So I had quite a few things in my document prior to this morning about Katy's time at Coachella, because it all seemed very wholesome. She was with Justin Trudeau a whole lot, just walking around Coachella, which I still think is crazy. I should be used to it by now, the fact that she's dating the fucking former Prime Minister of Canada, but it is still just wild to see him just walking around Coachella with his fucking hat backward. There is something so absurd about it still. And I saw someone taking these photos and being like, oh my god, they both look like they're in their 20s. No, they don't. No, they don't whatsoever. And especially him. But so it is just kind of funny, and then there just a lot of videos of people just seeing them, just walking around. And Katy was in Justin's audience, vibing with Justin Trudeau right behind her. And it is shocking, too, the amount that she was with Orlando Bloom for so long, and I never saw as much Orlando Bloom content from Katy. This does seem like a better relationship for her. And then she was even making some jokes during Justin's set. So that was funny. I also did wonder too, I'm like, is this his actual account? Like, are all the stuff in his recommendations, is that real? Is that what Justin Bieber is getting recommended? Is this Justin Bieber's algorithm? Or did they make a separate account knowing that he was going to do this? I feel like you would have to. There's no way. There's no way that you're like an A-list celebrity like Justin Bieber and you're just letting people see your own YouTube recommendations and they just see what no. They had to have made a separate account. So I wonder if it was like a Coachella account or something with the label. I don't know, but it was what a weird thing to do, truly. And then she was very excited to hear Baby, which so was I. I was like, thank God, finally a song I fucking know. So that was gonna be all the Katy Perry updates. But then, I don't know when this was posted onto Threads. I saw it this morning. There are now some allegations against Katy Perry from Ruby Rose, the actress from, she was in Orange is the New Black, right? She was the one from, like, season, I don't remember the seasons of Orange is the New Black. It's been a very long time, but she's an actress. Friends with, Taylor Swift, famously. So, in response to this tweet from Complex, it says, Katy Perry reacts to Justin Bieber's Coachella set where he essentially sung karaoke to his older material on YouTube. Ruby replied and said, Katy Perry sexually assaulted me at Spice Market nightclub in Melbourne. Who gives a shit what she thinks? And then she replied to someone, I don't know what that person said, but she said this, and as a woman, for a myriad of reasons, opening up about women against women violence and sexual abuse seems to be 100 times harder than speaking about the male predators, at least for me. She says she didn't kiss me, she saw me resting on my best friend's lap to avoid her and bent down, pulled her underwear to the side, and rubbed her disgusting vagina on my face until my eyes snapped open and I projectile vomited on her. After I threw up on her, I told the story publicly but changed it to be a funny little drunk story because I didn't know how else to handle it. I'm unfamiliar with that. I don't know where publicly she's talked about this or how she portrayed it previously, but I guess she has at some point referenced this. Later she agreed to help me get my US visa, so I kept it a secret, but I did tell y'all she wasn't a good person. Instead, I got attacked by everyone. She said, I was only in my early 20s. I'm now 40. It has taken almost 2 decades to say this publicly, though I am so grateful I've made it long enough to find my voice, and it just shows how much of an impact trauma and sexual assault takes. Thank you for seeing me. Not interested in filing a report over this, not when I haven't even filed a report for the numerous rapes at the hands of grown men, but she is more than welcome to sue me. She won't because it happened. I have photos, and it was literally in public and witnessed by multiple people. Plus, there is so much more that happened in the years leading up to her silly song that she won't want me discussing. The psychological manipulation was strong with that one. But hey, she wrote and signed the letters of recommendation for my US visa application in the 2010s, so there's that. Yeah. Just pretty bad. And like, I don't know what to think of any of it. I do believe Ruby because I don't know why she would make this up. I don't think that Ruby Rose is like a perfect person, but this would be such a crazy thing for somebody to make up. And I can also believe too that like maybe Katy saw what she was doing as like a prank or something, and maybe she thought it was funny at the time. That doesn't excuse it. But I could see, you know, when you're like really young and you, especially like, I think women do sometimes think that like because they're women that they're not actual threats to people. So I could understand how this could even happen in the first place. But Katy is currently denying that it happened, period. As a representative for Katy Perry has denied Ruby Rose's claims that the singer sexually assaulted her about 20 years ago. In a statement to Rolling Stone, the allegations being circulated on social media by Ruby Rose about Katy Perry are not only categorically false, they are dangerous, reckless lies. Ms. Rose has a well-documented history of making serious public allegations on social media against various individuals, claims that have repeatedly been denied by those named. And it's like, yeah, okay, they've been denied by those named, but does that make them not true? I don't think that it's ever been proven that she's made a false allegation. I know that there are some accusations against her for abuse from some other people, but I don't think that we really have a history of her, like, just full-on making up stories about other people. It's just really weird, and it's disappointing from Katy, because I think that there is probably at least some truth to what Ruby is claiming, maybe it wasn't as severe as what Ruby is saying. Maybe, I don't know, maybe her memory isn't perfect. Who's to say? But like, I think that at least a version of what she said probably happened. So for Katy to just deny it outright doesn't make me feel good. Yeah, that sucks. And the thing is like Katy has kind of a history too, because not only is there the Dr. Luke stuff and her collaborating with Dr. Luke despite the allegations against him, there's also the stuff, I don't know if I will be able to find it. Let's see.
Come on.
So there was this on American Idol years ago when she was a judge on that show where this contestant admitted that he had never kissed anyone before, and Katy took the opportunity to essentially assault him. Is it like a super traumatizing assault? I don't know. He might have given a statement at one point about this, but either way, it's like it wasn't fully consensual. Here's what she did.
Have you kissed a girl and liked it?
No, I've never been in a relationship.
Really?
I can't kiss a girl without being in a relationship.
Come here, baby.
No, wait, hold on.
Come here.
Come on.
Come here right now.
You can't
Come
be.
here right now. Come here.
Stop. What, on the cheek?
Mm-hmm. You didn't even make the smush sound.
Right, okay. Let me start over. Okay.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, like, there maybe are just some issues with boundaries with Katy that should be addressed. And that's where I'm like, I'm not going to say it would have been easy for her to get past these allegations, but like, I think that if she had said something of like, if she just said like, I'm sorry, I was fucked up, I crossed a line I shouldn't have crossed, you know, like, I think there probably was a way for her to get past this, but there's the denial that it even happened is like, all right, so no accountability, huh? It's not good. It's not good at all. So, sorry to Ruby. There's Gaga. I don't think anything huge has happened yet. So, I do love this performance though. Anyway, let's move on to our final topic. Let's talk about Euphoria. So I do want to give a little bit of like a kind of a recap in a sense, because Euphoria is a show that has been going on for a very long time, even though it's only in its third season, because that's how TV works now. They don't do seasons right back to back anymore. They wait years in between. But they're on their third season, and they might as well be on their like 10th season or whatever the fuck. This whole show has just taken a dive in many ways. So let's give a little recap on Euphoria as a show, even if you've never watched it. So there are going to be spoilers here, not just for this new episode, but for the whole fucking show. We're not going to go into like every plot, but just to give you an overview of what Euphoria is about and how this current season is stacking up to the others. So, Euphoria. It's a show that came out in 2019, premiered in 2019. It was good. The first season, I mean, I haven't really watched it. I haven't rewatched it for many, many years. But when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, this is a good show. I really enjoyed it at the time. It's very, like, it was very aesthetic driven. As you can see here, like, it's very, like, purple and pink and blue. A lot of bisexual lighting. It was a very good looking show, well edited, well directed, and, like, decently written for the most part. I think probably if I went back and I rewatched it now, I would have more problems with it, especially because of some later issues in the show. But at the time, it seemed really well made, and it was definitely very, very well cast. And that's one of the big things too, is like Zendaya was already fairly big at the time. She had been on Disney Channel. I think she had already done the first Spider-Man movie, maybe more than one. I don't remember when those movies came out, but Zendaya was already like a A-list star-ish, maybe like B-list, but like B+. She was definitely a star on the rise. And then you had Hunter Schafer, who is a pretty well-established actress now, but at the time I had never seen her in anything else. I don't know if that was her first thing or if maybe she had some smaller stuff before that, but Hunter Schafer really broke out. There was Alexa Demi, who hasn't done a whole lot recently, but she seemed like the one to watch for a minute. You had obviously Jacob Elordi, Sydney Sweeney, Coleman Domingo was on the show, or he still is on the show, but like a big breakout role for him. And then also really good music too, with Labyrinth doing the soundtrack. A lot of the shows, a lot of the scenes felt almost like music videos in how the aesthetics and how the music was really like tied together. And then it was also like, it was pretty provocative and like genuinely provocative, where it was edgy and stuff, but it felt like it was edgy in a way that was made to cater toward the girls and the gays. And it was on HBO, but it seemed to be like kind of bucking the traditions of HBO edginess in its tone and in its focus, in that it wasn't all just like female nudity. It was a lot of male nudity. There was an episode very early on that I think had like the most dicks on like an episode of television ever, or something like that. It got a lot of press for this one episode where there was just like shot after shot of dick. And considering the way that like Game of Thrones and stuff was shot, where like it was constant female nudity and then like some male nudity here and there, that felt kind of refreshing, of like, cool, we're gonna kind of even the playing field here of here's a whole bunch of dicks to make up for the amount of tits this channel has shown. And at the time, there was some criticism of it being too provocative or being shocking for the sake of shocking, but I didn't think so, because I think even the many dicks in a row, it actually did make sense for the story that it was telling at the time, because it was about like Nate Jacobs, the character, and his issues with like masculinity and his trauma with like his own father and stuff, and him being just kind of freaked out by dicks in general. So it was motivated by something, and it felt provocative in a way that actually felt a little meaningful. And it also had it had a very prominent trans character, obviously. It was a very queer show. It was also like, I mean, Hunter's character was very central for a long time. I mean, in between seasons 1 and 2, there was an entire like little special thing, like a special episode that Hunter co-wrote that was pretty much all about her character's journey as a young trans woman. So that was cool. And it dealt with like teen issues in a provocative, edgy way, in ways that I think made plenty of people uncomfortable for valid reasons with how the teen characters are sexualized on the show. But it made sense to me of like, this maybe is not how teenagers act, but it's maybe how teenagers feel, you know? Like, it's very like heightened, it's very kind of sensationalized, but in a way that almost sort of mimics like a very juvenile look on the world in a sense, you know? And it was dealing with stuff which I thought was like mostly kind of nuanced, the way that it dealt with like teen sexuality, especially with the character Kat, who was she was like an overweight, I don't really like that word, that sounds like super condescending, but like she was a bigger girl who started doing cam work and stuff, and that kind of helped her get into her own like sexuality, but at the same time she was a minor doing cam work, and then she had this interaction with one of her like customers that made her very, very uncomfortable, and she like quit cam work and stuff. And I was like, well, that really does it is a very like it's not like realistic, it's not a show based in any sort of realism, but it did make sense to me in terms of the feeling of being a teenager and having these ways of exploring your own sexuality in a way that makes you feel good at first and makes you feel kind of like empowered and like you're taking control of some part of who you are as a person. But then sometimes even that will get you into situations, especially with adults, where you feel really uncomfortable and feel really unsafe. And I was like, that actually like it tracks, you know? It's a really like overly sensationalized way to handle this sort of issue, but it actually like the feelings involved in it are something that's really relatable to a lot of people. So I thought it was fine in the first season, especially because I thought that the way that they dealt with all the characters was pretty nuanced and grounded in empathy. But it's hard to say at this point how much of that was actually Sam Levinson, who is the showrunner who directs every episode and writes every episode, which is pretty insane. I mean, most showrunners don't do that, you know? Even if they maintain very tight control over their show, they aren't directing and writing every single episode by themselves, which Sam Levinson was doing. He had some creative partners with him for the writing and stuff, but for the most part, it is just him doing everything. It's hard to say how much of that first season, the good parts of it, were actually from Sam, and how much of it was the fact that the show is based on a different show. It's based on some sort of Israeli teen drama show. I've never watched it, so I don't know how similar they are and what he took from that, but maybe that's the big problem, is maybe he ran out of like source material and started just making shit up, and that's the issue that we're now in. I don't know, but it was a good show at one point. There were some controversies, especially with the drug use, but that I think honestly the drug shit holds up the best in any case, because Sam Levinson himself has had issues with drug addiction in the past, and it does seem like the main character Rue is a character that he relates to a lot, and so I think her characterization is always the strongest in every season, and the exploration of addiction is still fairly good. And then there were the issues with sex and the teen sexuality, which again I think that like iffy in some moments even in that first season, but also still grounded in something kind of real and something that teenagers probably do relate to, even if they don't do the exact same things that these teenagers do in the show. Then we get to season 2, and things start to unravel a little bit. Season 2 is just a total fucking mess. So there are still things that are good. So Rue's storyline is still really good because it is, again, really rooted in her addictions with substances, and that's something that I think that Sam Levinson relates to. So he manages to make her character and her story arc the most empathetic. And also what I think is interesting too is like Rue's character, even though it's a very like sexual show, Rue is kind of the least sexualized of the entire series, which is interesting because she's like a self-insert in some ways for Sam, that he doesn't want to sexualize her character too much, but he's willing to do it with pretty much everybody else. That's interesting. But okay, Rue's storyline's still pretty good. The show is also still pretty funny in the second season, sometimes unintentionally, but often knowingly so, like the entire play scene and the, oh my god, is this fucking play about us? Pretty iconic. It was very entertaining. And it was also just something that, like, you know, Twitter loved it. Twitter ate it up even when it was not very good. Then there were some bad parts, so a lot of characters start getting sidelined in season 2. It started, Rue was always like the main character, but it was more of an ensemble cast. But there are characters that are being really severely underutilized in season 2, especially Kat, and then also Jules, even though they're introducing new characters like Elliot, who I think was totally fucking useless. I never cared about this man. And they at one point have an entire scene where he's just like playing the guitar and singing a song. And I know that this is the guy, I forget what his name is, but he's like an actual like singer. People like him. I don't care about him at all. But yeah, that was weird. It just felt like there was way too much of a focus on this random guy that they just introduced, and it also seemed like it was meant to promote his music career rather than move the plot at all. And especially when you have characters like Kat and Jules, who were such big parts of season 1, when they're getting sidelined in favor of this dude, it's just odd. Odd. And then there's the Cassie problems. So, yeah, Dominic Fike, yep. So, again, in the first season, there is a lot of sex, but it does feel rooted in something that, in things that feel real to, like, the teenage experience. And Cassie's character, even in the first season, is kind of a mess, but she's a mess that makes sense. Like, she clearly has some daddy issues. She clearly seeks validation from men, but in a way that's, like, kind of realistic. In season 2, she's just pathetic. She's just, like, a walking pair of crying tits. And the tits are out. A lot. Just an insane amount, truly. And this is where it was hard to say at this point if Sam Levinson is just like a perverted creep who just wants to sexualize teenage characters and his actresses and put them into all sorts of weird scenarios. It was hard to tell if it was that or if maybe the problem was just that, like, because he's the person writing and directing every episode and because he is very limited in what he relates to as a human being, maybe he is trying for something that's more nuanced that he just can't quite get to because he's never been a teenage girl, you know? Like, there is something about the way that Cassie's character is written where it's like, there's something human in there, but it's just not being mined properly because it's being written by a man who's never been a teenage girl in his life, you know? So it was like, is the problem that he's a creepy weirdo, or is the problem that he just needs co-writers? I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I feel a little bit more pulled toward one side currently, but there was already a lot of conversations around the nudity at this time, especially when Sydney Sweeney said that she was complimenting Sam Levinson by saying that he's never made her, like, uncomfortable like some other men in the industry have, and she's never had a problem if she went to him and said, like, hey, I don't think that my character needs to be topless here. I don't think my character needs to be nude here. Can we cut that? He would be very easily like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Got it. You won't be nude in this scene. And it's like, okay, well, that's good. I'm glad that he's receptive to that. I'm glad that he's not pressuring you when you're confronting him about it. At the same time, though, why did he want your character to be that naked in the first place? Because she is just, her tits are out in, like, almost every episode of the second season. Maybe not every one, maybe that's an exaggeration, but they're out a lot. And the idea that there was more nudity written into the script that she had to go to Sam Levinson and say, hey, can we not? Like, that's kind of crazy. It's really crazy. But okay. Then there start to be some allegations of some on-set feuds. And it's hard to say what of this is true and what of it is not, but there were rumors that Barbie Ferreira, who plays Kat, that she stormed off the set at one point. She kind of denied that, but then also said some other stuff that implies that she wasn't super happy on that set. She left the show and said that she didn't want to play the fat best friend. And she said, Sam writes for things that he relates to. I don't think he relates to Kat. And I was like, yeah, that seems accurate. I don't think that he relates to a lot of these characters at all, except for Rue. I think Rue has the strongest storyline because she's the only character that he relates to. So that stuff is already happening just on the set of Euphoria with season 2. Then The Idol happened. So The Idol premiered in 2023. Season 2 of Euphoria was 2022. The Idol is one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life, for one thing. It's just very bad. It is so over-sexualized. It is so stupid. It's just bad. It's not a good plot. The nudity, the sex in it never feels earned or like... I don't ever want to say... I don't ever want to say something is like necessary in a film because I don't think that like filmmaking is something that you do based on necessity. You know, like you film scenes and write scenes in the way that you think is the most effective. So I think that there are plenty of instances in which nudity and sex is not strictly necessary for a scene, but is still an effective way to communicate something in the storyline or to like get the audience into a certain mood, a certain mode. You know, there's times where sex maybe isn't necessary for the plot but still is effective for the storytelling. That was not the case here. It was always just weird. It was always distracting. It was super like graphic and just it really felt fetishistic. It was dumb again. The plots didn't make sense. The Weeknd is a terrible actor. Like, really bad. There are some people, like, some singers, when they start doing acting, I'm like, okay, this wasn't very good, but I think that this person has some potential to be a good actor in the future. Like, Madonna, when she first started as an actress, wasn't that great, but her skills definitely grew. The Weeknd, when I was seeing him in The Idol, I was like, he can't do it. It's just not something that's in his wheelhouse, and that's okay. He has other talents, but acting, I just don't think will ever be one of them, and I'm sorry. He's really, really bad. So it was awful. The Idol really it made it somewhat clear that Sam Levinson is probably just bad at his job. And maybe season 1 of Euphoria was a fluke, and maybe even parts of season 2 of Euphoria were kind of a fluke. Especially because some stuff starts coming out, especially from this Rolling Stone article, about the situation behind the scenes. And Sam Levinson just seems like a nightmare to work with. Not even because he's particularly mean, though maybe he is sometimes. There are some things that indicate that, but like he's just fully unorganized. People were saying that like he would come to set and he had no clue what they were going to be shooting today. Like he didn't have a plan for what they were going to be doing on that day. And he was over budget, he was over schedule. And what really was fairly alarming from The Idol was the fact that there is a lost version of The Idol. So originally, Sam Levinson was just supposed to be like a co-executive producer alongside The Weeknd and a woman named Amy Seimetz, who had, I think, was like the main showrunner for a while. Until The Weeknd, I guess, decided that he thought that the show was too focused on Lily Rose Depp's character. He wanted it, I think, more focused on him. Like, he had some ideas for what he wanted the show to be, which were bad. And so HBO fires Amy Seimetz, even though they've already shot, like, a good portion of the show. Like, there were full scripts, they were shooting stuff. I don't know what order they were shooting in, so I don't know if there's, like, a full episode that's done, or if it's just, like, little parts of the entire season. I'm not sure, but eventually some images from the set, from the original first season of The Idol, those eventually leak, and the version that you see from the Amy Seimetz version, it's just way less sexual. It seems a lot more like woman friendly. It seems more focused on Lily Rose Depp's character as a pop star. I would really, really like to see this version. And I know that someone at HBO has the footage somewhere. They have to. There's no way they've gotten rid of all of it. Somebody has significant footage of the Seimetz cut, and I need them to leak it. I need them to do it. Release the Seimetz cut immediately. Please. But this is where it starts to become concerning of, like, why is HBO giving Sam Levinson this much power? That he's able to just, like, essentially, him and The Weeknd were able to throw out an entire, like, season worth of television to create something that is objectively awful, that nobody liked. Why did they let him get away with that? And this is where some other issues start to come up. So, Amy Seimetz might not be the only person that Sam Levinson, might not be the only woman, especially, that Sam Levinson has fucked over in this regard. So, Petra Collins, a director and photographer who's done a whole lot of stuff. She's known for her kind of like female gaze imagery, her photographs, and also her music videos. She's done music videos for like Carly Rae Jepsen and other pop stars. And she also has she has photography that does definitely feel Euphoria adjacent. But she claims that she worked on Euphoria for about 5 months before being dropped by HBO for being too young, and was left in tears when she saw an exact copy of her work produced by Sam a year later. So this is... It appears to me that the reason that season 1 of Euphoria looks so good, and season 2 looks fine, but like season 1 has such a beautifully honed aesthetic, and it is something that, like, I would call kind of female gaze adjacent, of like, it did seem like a show that was made for the girls and the gays. I think the reason that was true is because they just ripped off all the stuff that Petra Collins had already done for the show before firing her, which is really fucked up. But that maybe also answers, because this came out in 2023 after season 2 aired, perhaps this is why season 3 takes such a drastic change in its aesthetics. Like, it's really kind of abandoned this entire look of the show and is now doing something completely different, possibly because they can't keep ripping off Petra Collins anymore. But this is not even really the only person that he's done weird shit with, so we'll get to that in a second. But during this time, between season 2 of Euphoria and season 3 of Euphoria right now, all the actors have kind of moved on. Like, obviously Zendaya has had a huge career in the interim. She's been in Dune. She's now in the drama. She's going to be in Dune 3. She was in Dune 2 as well. She's going to be in some more of the Spider-Man movies, and she's in the Odyssey. Like, Zendaya is as big as a person can be. She did Challengers, which was a cultural reset. Zendaya is as big as anyone can be. Jacob Elordi, his career is also taken off with like Saltburn, Frankenstein. What else did he do? The new fucking Wuthering Heights movie. Jacob Elordi's huge. Sydney Sweeney is also very big. Not always for reasons that I like, but she's very famous. And she's also incredibly controversial at the current moment because of her whole not caring to denounce white supremacy thing. So at this point, there were a whole lot of questions. Oh, and then Angus Cloud, who was one of the actors from season 1 and 2 of Euphoria, he died. So a lot of question at this point of like, are all these actors even gonna come back for season 3? They all are not in, none of them are in a place in their career, well, some of them are, but these 3 are not in a place in a career where they need Euphoria whatsoever. Coleman Domingo doesn't need Euphoria anymore either. Alexa Demi, maybe, who's to say? I don't know what, is she just, it seems like she's not doing anything. So I don't know if she maybe doesn't want to do acting after Euphoria, or if she hasn't been able to get parts. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but just a lot of people where it's like, there's not a whole lot of reason for them to be there anymore. And then Angus Cloud died, so he can't be there. Oh, shit. And then that's the end of that, that little PowerPoint. But so we start running into some problems leading up to the filming of Euphoria. So this is from The Hollywood Reporter in 2024. One of the other things that happened is that one of the main producers on the show, God, I hate the way that these websites are designed, Kevin Turin, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, there was some sort of falling out between this producer, who was Sam Levinson's like one of his main creative collaborators. He had some sort of falling out with Sam Levinson, and then he died, and apparently whatever falling out they had was so bad that Kevin's family like banned Sam Levinson and his wife from the funeral. So that's not good. And then there was a whole lot of stuff with Sam Levinson's wife started taking over as like the main executive producer on Euphoria and some of his other projects, which people were not happy about. I guess she's not pleasant. I don't know. And then he took so long to like nail down a plan for season 3 in the first place. And all these actors who were on the show had like were put in a position where they were kind of expected to put their own careers on pause, even while their careers were like really, really taking off. Which I have to imagine was very frustrating for them, especially it seems like it was frustrating for Zendaya. So it says, during the first 2 seasons of Euphoria, Zendaya and Levinson were thick as thieves, says a source involved with the production. She found him to be an inspiring director, and she knew she was embodying him in her role as drug addict Rue. Having won 2 Emmys for her performance, she shadowed Levinson on set during season 2 with an eye toward directing in season 3. The pair were close enough that they collaborated on and largely self-financed an indie movie, Malcolm and Marie, during the pandemic. Enter The Weeknd. Turin initially connected with him through producer Aaron Gilbert, then running Braun, where Turin had a film deal. Sources say both Turin and Levinson became enamored with the multi-platinum pop star who harbored serious acting ambitions. He maybe needs to take a few classes before he tries to have those ambitions realized. Turin and Levinson jumped in to produce Tesfaye's high-profile acting debut, The Idol, also for HBO. Levinson wrote a spec script for the pilot, but was not supposed to spend too much time on the project because he was still occupied with Euphoria Season 2. Other writers and directors would handle the heavy lifting. But with Levinson, things often don't go as planned. Eventually, as Levinson wound up spending far more time on The Idol than anticipated, Zendaya's frustration grew. Levinson had not yet delivered scripts for Euphoria's third season scripts that are still a work in progress more than 2 years after viewers watched the last episode of season 2. Zendaya was so perturbed that she asked for a meeting with HBO's Blois and Orsi, demanding to know why the network allowed Levinson to turn his attention to another show, an HBO show no less, with Euphoria hanging in the balance. Sources say her unhappiness deepened in March of 2023 after Rolling Stone published a blistering article alleging that with Levinson at the helm, production on The Idol had gone disgustingly, disturbingly off the rails, chaotic and over budget with a toxic work environment. The show told the story of a fading pop star, played by Lily Rose Depp, who cares about that? Zendaya had nothing to do with The Idol, but was swept up in fan backlash for a project she hadn't wanted Levinson to take on in the first place. Sources say that she was already a seasoned actress when she appeared on Euphoria at 22, and she closely tracked the mood on social media. Her image is pristine, says an executive who had dealt with her, and fans were turning against Sam, urging Zendaya to distance herself. Months later, with their relationship having curdled, there was another meeting at HBO with Zendaya, Levinson, Blois, and Orsi, ostensibly to discuss creative issues. But HBO execs who hoped the gathering would help bring about a reconciliation between director and star wound up disappointed. They went from being so close, and they couldn't fix it. Another issue arose. Zendaya has told HBO executives that she doesn't want Ashley Levinson to be the only executive producer on season 3. With Torrin gone, Zendaya is not the only person involved with the show to feel that way. Sources say Ashley is a very different proposition from Torrin, with more sharp-elbowed than conciliatory, and above all, fiercely protective of her husband. Sam needs someone else besides Ashley, says a talent rep with a client in the show. He needs a voice of reason, and Kevin was a genius at that. Sam really is a big talent, but he needs managing, and if you're a spouse, it's tough. He needs boundaries, he needs deadlines. It's hard for a spouse to set limits. You're setting yourself up for failure. And then, I guess Sydney Sweeney was eager to return. No surprise there. Jacob Levinson didn't seem super stoked about the idea of returning. But then it says, Levinson's first crack at an idea for the new season in which Zendaya was to be a private detective was rejected by both HBO and Zendaya. Zendaya's idea that she could play a surrogate mother also was a non-starter. But HBO sources say that there is finally the beginning of a thaw between writer, director, and star, and an inkling of an idea that will work. Good luck to us, says one person involved in the show. Who knows what the hell will happen? Now, I do think the idea of Rue's character becoming a private detective is insane, but I am curious about it. I almost want to see what he was thinking, but it definitely would have been stupid, so Zendaya was correct. But, okay, so that's all happening. Zendaya is definitely not promoting Euphoria, like, at all. She showed up to the premiere, walked the red carpet, showed up to snap photos for 10 minutes, and then bounced. I don't even think she did an interview on the carpet. She has spent quite a lot of time promoting her new movie, The Drama. She's almost certainly going to be promoting The Odyssey and Dune 3 this year. Does not give a fuck about promoting Euphoria at all. She was asked about Euphoria season 3 while on the Drew Barrymore show, and this is what she had to say.
Golden Globe later, season 3 is about to drop and hit.
Yes.
Is this the last season?
I think so.
I never want to ask questions like that because it's not my business, and yet, is this to be enjoyed?
Yes,
knowing?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost need to know the mind frame.
Closure is coming.
And women love closure.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
2 Emmys and a Golden Globe.
So just flat out, she's like, yep, I think this is the last season. And I think it probably will be the last season for her. Definitely. Will it be the last season for the show? I don't know. Jacob Elordi is also clearly not really into it. Prior to the show actually premiering, he gave a lot of quotes where I was like, oh, he doesn't like this new season at all, does he? So he said, while talking about his time preparing for the role, he said, usually I would like to obsess over what I was doing and understand what was happening and have the time to go through every element and construct it and put it together, and I had no time to get ready for it, and I didn't have scripts in any kind of full sense. I just sort of had creative conversation with Sam, so I had no choice. And he does sugarcoat it a little bit. He tries to put a positive spin on it. He says, I was coming off a plane somewhere, and later I had a small amount of time to fit in a lot of work, and so I hit a point where I could only go day by day. I could only do what was handed to me that day, and then try to invent something based on what I know of the character, based on what I see on the set live in front of me. Because I had no choice, I got to be free in the acting process, because it was kind of just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. Less thinking about what feels real, and more about how does this work in the frame, or is this funny or not funny? I had a more relaxed way of approaching playing a character, you know? Sam basically just gave me the floor, which was a lot of fun. But he also admits that it was nerve-wracking. And at one point, I couldn't find this quote here, but I remember at one point him saying, like, I don't know if it's gonna be good. Like, when asked about his own performance, he's like, I was just kind of doing stuff. Who's to say how it'll look on the actual show? Not sure if any of it's good. But so it was pretty clear that he just was not putting much time or energy into this new season. And why should he? He has other things to do. He was contractually obligated to do this, and he showed up. So good for him. Now, another thing that we found out very soon before the show premiered. So this was on April 9th, which less than a week ago, a few days ago. It was announced that Labyrinth's music will not be featured in season 3 of Euphoria. So Labyrinth had done the score for the first 2 seasons of Euphoria, and that's a pretty big important part of the show's success, you know, like his soundtrack is kind of the thing holding Euphoria together to some extent. So the idea that he wasn't going to be in this new season at all was pretty crazy, but it wasn't the most shocking because he had said something on Instagram earlier this year. Just a few weeks ago, he said, I'm done with this industry. Fuck Columbia, which is his record label. Double fuck Euphoria. I'm out. Thank you and good night. So this was very vague, but like there was some indication that Labyrinth was not happy about something involving Euphoria. Then when asked about it, Sam Levinson said he doesn't know why Labyrinth wasn't coming back for season 3. He says he's an incredible collaborator and someone who really built the foundation of the sound of Euphoria. Like, yeah, correct. How do you not know why he's not going to be in the show? Huh? So then, after Sam says that he doesn't know why Labyrinth doesn't want to be on the show, or won't be on the show, Labyrinth then kind of responds, and he writes on Instagram, people will comfortably lie in this industry and still call themselves honest people. So no cap, I decided to remove whatever music I had in it. I spoke to HBO. As far as I know, we are cool. I left because, last truth, when I work for someone, their vision is paramount to me, but I don't let people treat me like shit. So, seems to be directed specifically at Sam Levinson. And then, the night of the premiere, which is last night, when the season 3 came out, Labyrinth decided to release the song Shut Your Damn 95.7892, I don't know what that means, but it's basically Shut Your Damn Mouth, at the exact time that Euphoria premiered. He just put this song onto streaming. Clearly, something happened. And this is something that I'll say too, because there's a lot of, there are a lot of different people that we can kind of compare Sam Levinson to in terms of directors or showrunners or writers or whatever who aren't very good at their jobs but are still successful regardless. Like, I saw someone earlier mention Emerald Fennell, which, yeah, definitely there are comparisons you can make, but ultimately, like, Emerald Fennell is a much better director and a much better writer than Sam Levinson is, and I don't even think that Emerald Fennell is a good writer at all. But she's better than Sam Levinson. And if we want to compare, I think the most obvious comparison here would be Ryan Murphy, who also does a lot of, like, shocking things for the sake of being shocking, who also is maybe somewhat of a creep himself. You know, a lot of things we could say about Ryan Murphy. Something you can't say about Ryan Murphy is that he can't get people to work with him. Because he can, to a frustrating extent. Like, there are so many A-list actors who will just do a Ryan Murphy show because Ryan Murphy made it. Like, A-list actors who don't fucking need Ryan Murphy whatsoever anymore, if they ever needed him at all, who will drop what they're doing just to be in something that Ryan created. Whatever you say about Ryan Murphy, people enjoy working with him. And people do not seem to enjoy working with Sam Levinson. And also, Sam Levinson is creepier. Like, there's something about Sam Levinson and his shows that even when I think that Ryan Murphy is an exploitative creep, nothing that Ryan Murphy has ever done has had the kind of menacing vibes that Sam Levinson does a little bit. Like, even the Ed Gein season of Monster, it was fucked up and ridiculous and awful. But, like, The Idol, it is genuinely, like, I feel like it was made by a full-on pervert. Just a full-on pervert. Not someone who, like, has some perverted ideas that they incorporate into their art, but someone who is just, like, kind of disturbed to their core. So, you know, I don't know how he keeps getting away with this shit. Because it doesn't even seem like anybody likes him. And then he also... So apparently... He's not even done with this season yet. Which I'm genuinely kind of shocked by. I shouldn't be, because I know that he's a mess, and I know that he's chaotic, and I know that he is not organized in the slightest. And he insists on being in control of absolutely everything on his shows. But you would just think, with the amount of fucking time that this show has taken, that he would have finished the damn show by now, once it's premiering. But no, because here's what he said on the red carpet.
This is going to be the final season. I'm just curious if you have any ideas for how the story might continue past season 3.
I have to be honest, and I mean this, I've written every season like it's the last season. Even going back to season 1, you know, I just thought, okay, if this is it and it ends on this musical number, I'm good, you know, and that'll just, you know, people will debate it. Is she alive? Is she not? And so I think that's how I kind of approach the work. And, you know, I'm still, you know, putting the finishing touches on episodes 7 and 8. So I keep the blinders on, stay focused on the work, and, you know, and just, I'll leave that on God's desk.
Lots of speculation about if this is going to be the final season.
What do you mean you leave that on God's desk? You're the showrunner. You haven't finished it. You're still editing it. We're gonna be in for a treat with this new season. But is it even gonna be entertaining? I don't know, because I do think that the first episode so far, it was bad, but it was mostly boring, which, I mean, I'd rather it be good, but if it's gonna be bad, I want it to be entertaining at least. But it doesn't seem super entertaining so far. Maybe a little bit. But here's the rundown of the new episode. So first of all, the aesthetic is completely changed. And I do wonder if that has something to do with the loss of, or not the loss of Petra Collins, but like her calling it out. It being known that they were kind of ripping her off in the first 2 seasons. But it looks fully different. New font, new cinematography, everything's new. It's like a whole different fucking show. And as we talked about, it doesn't have the Labyrinth's it doesn't have Labyrinth's soundtrack anymore. It now has Hans Zimmer, which Hans Zimmer is a great composer. He's done a lot of great movies. And he also he was featured in Ray's new album, and he was wonderful there as well. But it doesn't work here. I'm sorry, Hans. I respect you a lot. But it doesn't work in this show whatsoever. Here's what the show fucking sounds like now.
Spencer's office, this is Maddie speaking. Hi. Yeah, please hold. I have Annie online too. I'll take a hooker.
Like, what is that? It's awful.
Good money.
Like, no! This is not a Christopher Nolan movie. What the fuck? As per usual, the whole show is really focused around Rue's character again. So everyone is doing something so fucking boring. Cassie is now doing OnlyFans because she wants a $50,000 floral arrangement. Maddie is like a secretary or something. Jules, nowhere to be seen. Nate is like an investor of some kind. Like he's just vaguely referencing doing deals or something. So boring as hell. And then Rue is out like she's a drug mule now. Her storyline is the most interesting. It doesn't make sense anymore. I will say that. It makes no sense. And it's the most interesting part of the show, but now it's just completely disconnected from reality. At least before, when Rue was getting up into some weird shit, it felt really connected to like her drug addiction and stuff. It felt like a sensationalized look at what a drug addiction will make you do. This just feels like we're having Rue do some dumb shit just for the sake of doing dumb shit. And I guess maybe there's some stuff in there about her addiction, but it's just... What are we doing at this point? What is the point of this? And then Rue, they're teasing some sort of like religious psychosis with Rue. So she like gets involved with some, she escapes from something. She escapes from some sort of like Mexican drug cartel thing. There's a whole opening thing with her in this car. It's very like Breaking Bad-ish. Like, you know, in Breaking Bad when they get the car out of the impound lot. It's kind of like that. But then she ends up staying with this like Christian family, this like really strict conservative Christian family, and she likes them, and then she keeps thinking about them afterward, and there's some really clunky dialogue with her and Coleman Domingo's character where they're talking about the Bible, and it's just really ham-fisted and bad. But she's apparently like she's toying with the idea of becoming a Christian because of this one family that she met. It's stupid. It's stupid as hell. And also the whole new season, or this whole new episode, it was just gross. It literally just gross. And I'm not someone who's like turned off by like gross shit. But there's just a point where it's like you're just being gross for the sake of being gross. It's not, as this tweet is saying, it was always provocative, but it was never gross. This episode was gross. So here's a little rundown of some of the stuff that happens. I thought about even showing a clip, but I was like, no, it's too gross. I don't want to show that on my stream. So it says they got my girl Zendaya swallowing balls of drugs with lube and then shitting them into a strainer that is then used to strain pasta for her and others to eat. It's so nasty. Just the scene of them swallowing the ball of drugs. It's like him just... Like, it's Zendaya's character and the other character who I think is played by like a former porn star or a current porn star. I'm not sure. There's something weird about Sam Levinson's obsession with this actress, but okay. He has them like swallowing these balls of drugs. And they're just, the balls are too fucking big. Like, people cannot swallow those. So they're just, like, gagging. And there's, like, stuff coming out of their mouths. And they're just, like, it's just, like, it feels very fetishistic. It feels like he has a gagging fetish. It feels like he just wants to see women putting things into their throats. It's so weird. Yeah, and then they're pooping it out. Like, ooh, why? And then as this tweet says, nobody went to college and bettered themselves. No, they didn't. Like, everyone's involved in either, I guess, Maude Apatow's character is, like, doing legitimate stuff, but everyone else is involved in, like, some kind of sex work or something. And it's like, we knew that was gonna happen. He can't think of anything else. He can't think of anything other than sex to put his characters into. And there were the criticisms before of the fact that the show was so sexualized, but there were teenage characters, and I saw a lot of people being like, it wouldn't be bad if he just did it with like adult characters, like why can't these characters be young adults? Why can't they be college age? And I understand why people were saying that, because especially in season 2, the sex with the teenage characters was getting very weird and very strangely fetishistic. I understand that, but the show doesn't work outside of high school, because the show is like the amount of sex that's in the show, it's maybe not realistic to the high school experience, but as we were saying earlier, it is somewhat expressive of like the experience of being a teenager, you know, when you're in high school and your hormones are raging and you're thinking about sex for like the first time and you're thinking about it a lot. And your whole life is built around like your social circles in high school. So your world is just smaller. Like it sort of makes sense for your life to become so centered around like sex and drugs and partying and stuff when you're a fucking teenager. When you're an adult, you have other things to do. It doesn't make sense for so many of these characters' lives to still be so based around sex when they need to file their taxes. They need to get like well-paying jobs. They need to build their fucking lives. Like what are we talking about? How do you root a show around sex when the characters are adults that have other things to do? You don't. And a very perplexing decision that they made, because Angus Cloud did die, they've decided to keep his character alive, and they just have him serving a jail sentence or a prison sentence for 30 years. So it says there's a lot of scenes where people are talking to him on the phone. I thought if I couldn't keep him alive in life, then maybe within the show I could keep him alive there. The whole thing was my way to honor him. Is that honoring him? To keep his character alive without him? Especially when he can't even contribute anything super significant to the show at this point. Like, okay, cool, you're gonna have characters being on the phone with him, but we're never gonna hear the other side of the phone call. You could have just killed him off. It would have made sense. Season 2 ends in a shootout. It would have made complete sense for him to die. I understand. I guess it was always the goal. I guess Sam Levinson had wanted the whole season to be built around Angus Cloud. So he said I would invite him over and I'd tell him what the plans were for the character. I'd say, look, he's been in prison for a few years, so you've got to get that yoked prison body, because I wanted him to start working out and taking care of himself. Season 1 he was supposed to die at the end, and I couldn't do it. He needed something to look forward to, or else he might get lost in the world. And then when I was writing season 2 and I got to the end, I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to do it this time. Vesco's gonna die. And as we got closer, I just couldn't do it, especially with everything we'd gone through. I wanted him to have something to hold on to, a tangible goal for the future. Because Angus did die via overdose. So I get it. Like I think especially with Sam Levinson having a history of drug addiction himself, I understand why he felt so attached to Angus and to his character, and why he wanted season 3 to be kind of rooted around Fez and Angus Cloud and that whole thing. I understand, but like, okay, the dude did die though. So he can't be the root of the show anymore. Just let it go. It's just stupid. And also, it's like, the dialogue is so fucking bad. They say at one point, so yeah, he's in prison for 30 years, and the way that they say that in the episode is Rue just says to Maude Apatow's character, like, you should call him. After all, he's not going anywhere. He's in prison, and he will be for 30 years. It's like, okay, thank you for spoon-feeding that exposition to me. Especially in a show that was so, like, narrative-heavy, like a narrator. Rue was, like, the narrator of the show. You could just have Rue in a narration being like, and Fez got sent to prison for 30 years. You don't need to add it into the dialogue like that. It's so clunky. The dialogue is so bad. He's not good. Sam Levinson is not a good writer. And he had... The last season of Euphoria fucking aired in 2022. It's 2026. He had 4 years to figure this shit out. And then we get to Cassie's storyline. So she's now she wants to be like an OnlyFans model. And so there's a whole bunch of stuff where she's dressed as like a dog. And we saw this outfit in the trailers, and I still can't get over the fact that her tail is brown. It looks like there's a turd coming out of her ass at every moment. Sam Levinson is weird. I think he has like 50 different fetishes that I don't want to judge. People's fetishes are what they are, but like, you can't tell me that he didn't realize that that looked like poop. You can't tell me that. And like, keep it out of your show, dude. Keep it in your own search history. But, okay, Cassie is now an OnlyFans model. Whatever. What I find really absurd about it is that they're just shaming her the whole time. And I get, again, when we're comparing Sam Levinson to other directors, I understand a lot of people have issues with Sean Baker. I've only seen 2 of his movies, and both of them did involve prostitutes. I've seen Tangerine and I saw Honora. I thought they were both fine. I have some issues with Honora, but like, not like huge issues, just like a few things. But okay, a lot of people think Sean Baker is creepy and weird because of the amount. Maybe there's other stuff involved too that I don't know about, but like, I think a big thing is the amount that he centers sex work in his work as a cis hetero man. Maybe it's a little weird. Maybe he has a preoccupation with sex workers. That's odd. However, at least in Sean Baker's work, from what I've seen of it, Honora and Tangerine, he does seem to respect sex workers as like people. You know, he's not putting them onto the screen just to be like, look at these weird little whores, like Sam Levinson is. He does seem to like respect sex workers' right to bodily autonomy. I think Honora got like a weird thing attached to it where people were acting like that movie was really glamorizing sex work when I just don't think that it was. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Honora's character, that Honora didn't really want to be a stripper, that she was doing it for like monetary purposes, and I think that that's fine. The movie neither like chastises her for it, nor does it like glamorize it. So it's like the way that Sean Baker talks or portrays sex work, it is what it is. He's fine in that sense. I don't know much about anything else. Wasn't Honora the movie about sex without an intimacy coordinator? There was an intimacy coordinator, like they had one available, but I think Honora, what's her name, Mikey Madison or Mikey Madison, she declined to use it and then like bragged about it in interviews, which I wasn't a fan of. But it wasn't like they denied her the opportunity to have one. So, you know, I can't speak to her own personal experience. I don't like the way that she kind of advertised it. But, you know, I can't blame Sean specifically for it. But so, yeah, Sean maybe has flaws as a person, but I don't feel like his work actually is just disgusted by sex workers the way that Sam Levinson's work kind of is starting to seem, even while he fetishizes them, even while he there are like shots of Sydney Sweeney in this show that I'm not even going to put on screen because I feel like I'm going to get immediately demonetized for it. Because there's just stuff where she's just like on a fucking couch, she's just got her legs spread in the air, and it's like, you're just doing this for fun, aren't you? Just putting her into weird positions for fucking fun, and then shaming her character for it over and over again, and being like, isn't it so ridiculous that she wants to do sex work? Isn't she a nasty whore? Like, I guess, well, no, she's not, but but like, okay, even if we're going with that angle, you're the one that wrote her to do that. You're the one that wanted to see it. And then her character, Sydney's character, is maybe getting a little too meta. I saw someone mention this in the chat a second ago. She's talking about her wedding, her and Nate's wedding, because I guess now they're engaged. And she wants $50,000 flowers. And when he is like, no, that's ridiculous, she says, I didn't wait my entire life to have a ghetto wedding. And in a way, I almost respect the fact that he is kind of leaning into the idea that Sydney Sweeney is a little racist, if we can even say a little anymore. If I were Sam Levinson, if it were my show, I would lean so much harder into it. I would just like I would make Cassie's character just Sydney Sweeney, to the point that it would be problematic. People would write articles and be like, is this appropriate to criticize one of your actresses by making her act out herself in a way that's clearly meant to disparage her? But, you know, that's how I'm problematic compared to Sam Levinson. Because, yeah, I would probably take the opportunity to take some shots at my main actress, but I wouldn't be putting a fucking tail on her ass that looks like a piece of shit. But I would lean harder into this. And I saw someone tweet this and I was like, this is the shit I would be doing too. Because it is kind of, it's shaming Cassie for wanting to be an OnlyFans creator, even though Sydney Sweeney sold a bar of soap that like contained her bathwater in it. So it's like, even that's a little close to home, don't you think? It's like, yeah, Cassie is like, yeah, Nate, I'm gonna take a bath and then use that to make soap and people will buy it. Might as well have her do that. Make the commentary really clearly about Sydney Sweeney. But they're setting Cassie, Sydney's character, up as like the actual villain in a way that is so fucking weird. Because season 1, she was like messy but human for the most part. Season 2, she was messy and pathetic. She just felt like such a characterized version of like a woman with daddy issues. She felt like a cartoon character that was just meant to like obsess over a boy and then cry. Season 3, they're now making her the villain, and they're making Nate, her fiance, who was a villain throughout the first 2 seasons, they're making him into like her victim, essentially. Where like she's this materialistic narcissist and he's the voice of reason. It's so stupid. Like, this person this week never thought I'd see Nate clock Cassie like this. It's like, yeah, because this is how they wrote it. They want you to hate Cassie and like Nate now. And that's so weird. He fucking choked a woman in the first season.
No, but what you're saying is, you can buy me.
It's just a funny video.
Except you're not a doggy, you're a grown woman, so that makes you a what? A prostitute.
No, I am not a prostitute.
Then stop acting like
You
one.
are blowing this way out of proportion. I am growing my following. This brand might sponsor me. It's called monetization.
Mm-hmm. Come.
No.
Just weird. Fucking weird as hell. And even in this scene, he comes across as a little bit more of an asshole. There's another scene where they have dinner later where he fully is like, he's sad. Like, he really... It didn't even seem like he liked her in season 2. It seemed like he was only with her out of, like, convenience and the fact that she was hot. He didn't seem to enjoy being around her. And now at this point, he's willing to, like... He's uncomfortable with the idea of her doing OnlyFans, but he's willing to go along with it because he loves her or something. Like, he's crushed by the idea of her breaking off the engagement. Since when? Since when does he even give a fuck about this woman? And he also, like, he's uncomfortable with the idea of her doing OnlyFans, but he gives in, and it's like, in season 1, he fucking choked Maddie for wearing too revealing of an outfit to the county fair. You want me to believe that he would just duck his head and be like, okay, if that's what you want to do, if that's what we have to do to get married. Like, no, what are you talking about? They're really trying to do like a kind of Todd Manning character arc with him. But even then it's worse, because as someone on Twitter pointed out when I tweeted that, at least with Todd Manning, you saw him every day. Like, General Hospital aired every fucking weekday. And you saw Todd Manning, like, little by little, over the course of years, become, like, a reformed person and actually, like, grow from his past as a rapist. You saw him go to jail, and then he also broke out of jail. But you saw him, like, get a therapist. You saw him dealing with his trauma from his own childhood. You saw just little by little him taking steps to, One Life to Live, sorry. Whichever. The soap opera that he was on. You saw him just like little by little taking steps to become like a more tolerable character. And with this, it's like we haven't seen the show in years. It's been years since the last season. And just this huge jump in between where he used to be an asshole. He definitely was starting to get a little bit better in season 2. It seemed like they were trying to set up some sort of like, he's gonna reform himself sort of story arc, but I at least thought that we would see it happen more. I thought that we would like see him reconciling with like his past with his father. I thought we would see him in some sort of therapy. I thought we would see him like acknowledging his anger issues. We didn't see any of that. We just jumped to, and now he's a good person. And even then, even with One Life to Live, when they made Todd Manning like a good guy, at least then, I mean, it's not great for him to then like start a relationship with his former victim, especially the way that they had him do it. But at least then it's like, okay, Marty was never getting fully vilified in that plot line, you know? It was supposed to be like touching. Oh wait, shit. I'm gonna go back to Gaga for a second because I want to see what the surprise song is. Oh, shit ass. Whatever, she's still doing Die with a Smile, so it's okay. We'll come back to it later. What was I saying? Oh, at least with the Marty Todd storyline, it was supposed to be sweet that they ended up together after their past. Marty's not getting vilified there. Cassie is now like becoming Nate's abuser. Like, this is a whole different fucking level. We didn't get to see Nate grow. We didn't get to understand his evolution whatsoever. We've just skipped to the part where he's a good guy, and now we're making his former victim a villain. It's just fucking unbelievable. This man sucks. Oh wait, Gaga might be back. She might still be doing Die with a Smile. Yeah, she is. Okay. Ignore her. And let's be honest, I love Jacob Elordi. I think that he is a great actor. He is phoning it in so hard. I mean, you can tell that he didn't prepare. You can tell that he wasn't into this. He's being slammed for his accent that sounds like a mix between Elvis and Frankenstein. Probably because those are the things that he had been filming around the time that they filmed this. And he just didn't give a fuck. It's bad. It's not good. Now, that being said, Zendaya is still amazing. It's insane, to be honest with you. Like, she has no reason at this point to give a fuck about this show. Even more than Jacob Elordi. Jacob Elordi, I think, is still definitely going to be fine, because he has proved his acting chops many different places, but, like, especially, she has a movie in theaters right now where people can see what a good actress she is. She's gonna have Dune 3 coming out later this year. She's gonna have The Odyssey coming out later this year. She doesn't need Euphoria whatsoever. And she's still putting in a performance for this show that is like Emmy worthy, Oscar worthy. I mean, not Oscar because it's a TV show, but like award worthy performance for no reason. Other than, I guess, just like her integrity. She just will not give a bad performance. And that's very respectable. But also like, girl, it's okay. We'd understand. We'd all understand. Truly. Is she still doing Die With a Smile? Anyway, that's all I have to say about Euphoria. Let's see what her surprise song is, and then we'll do the Honorary Pop Girlies, and we'll call it a night.
I can't believe this is the last show. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up every night and cheering us on. I'd like to thank you for making this beautiful community some place that I got to be a part of for almost 20 years now. I'd like to thank you for selling every ticket to this show.
I bought 10 tickets to this show.
You are mean to me. I hope you know how much we will all miss you. I'd like to sing this to you, New York. From my heart to yours.
Alright, so Edge of Glory. Great song. I wonder what she'll do for like the final encore song. I can't believe it's really over. Sad. And yeah, I do agree, still pissed we didn't get any more Mayhem visuals. I would have loved a few more music videos, for sure. For sure. Maybe we'll get more with this supposed Devil Wears Prada EP. But I would have really liked at least a Garden of Eden video. Would have been cool. Oh well. Alright, here's our Honorary Pop Girlies. I gotta get my... This guy, what's his name? Jones from Beef. So, I've never watched Beef. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if this is a new character, a new actor, but this is Jones, the dachshund, and he's apparently in this new season of Beef. He was on the red carpet. I love him. I love him so much. Look at him in his little chains. He is so cute. And then he was on the red carpet. We have videos.
If you know. Hold on, we went crazy with that. Right here with his arms up. And then,
And then he did a little interview.
Are you making your ET debut? Yeah. We're gonna have to pay you the big bucks for this appearance. Now, can you give me an ET? Starts now. Perfect. There we go. Are you making your...
Oh my god, he's so good. He's so cute. I don't know what role he has in the show, but he's a star. All right, and then we have 3 today, so. Jay the Chow, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this is a Twitter account that is very famous. He puts Paddington into movies, so maybe you've seen it. He every single day he takes a still from a movie and then he just puts Paddington into it. And why I want to shout him out today, this week, is because he recently has announced that he is experiencing some burnout and he is going to pause daily posts for a bit to recharge. And you know what? This man has been doing this every day for years. So the last one he did on April 7th was day 1849 of him just putting Paddington into different things. And you know, if anyone deserves a break, it is this man, because he has dedicated so much of his life to photoshopping Paddington into movies for us, the public. This was a gift. And if he never does it again, he still has served the world right. That's a TV show, technically, but that's okay. A movie, TV show, or pop culture. He's so good. All right, and then our final honorary pop girlies. This couple from a Pacers game. This was all over my timeline and I loved it. So here's the original video. These two were at a Pacers game and they got caught just on the like fan cam thing having a discussion. And like, that's a good couple right there. So he's yapping about something. She listens to him. She hears him out. She's contemplating, she's thinking about it, and then she just immediately, once he's done, she's like, "That's you." And she says, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he immediately is like, all right. Like, what a beautiful couple. This is how, that's what a healthy relationship looks like. you have someone who's yapping, someone who listens, and then once you're done yapping, they go, no, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not. And what was extra fun about this is that this woman is like a fairly popular shit poster on Twitter. And this is, I guess, her face reveal. People didn't know what she looked like, but her name is Grace. I followed her for a while. She's got a photo of Hillary Clinton in like dreads, I guess. Or braids, not dreads necessarily. I don't know what you would call those, but she has been, oh shit, she just went private. Well, I shouldn't share too much of her page, but she has been a very popular shit poster for a while, and turns out she's a beautiful woman. But they did some sort of interview on ESPN recently where they explained what they were talking about.
Oh, that's funny. So I guess the most basic question, you two, is, well, Michael, what the heck were you talking about? Why this filibuster in the stands at a basketball game?
That's a great question, Ernie. We've got it quite a lot. Unfortunately, it was as boring as it could be. We were talking about sort of the rigors of liberal arts education and how I thought it needed to be essentially updated for like how, you know, the future job market looks. Yeah. And she disagreed.
Grace, I can see why you went that.
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about, man? Oh, damn. At the basketball game?
It was the Pacers and Nets.
So it could wait. Go ahead. Hey, Grace, I know you just wanted to watch the game and get some peace and quiet. You didn't come there for no intellectual stuff.
Actually, I think that the game is kind of interrupting our usual of that conversation. Which is so funny that this went viral. Just really embarrassing stuff. I'm not a huge sports person. Shaq, I love Icy Hot. That's where I mostly know you from.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
She's good on TV, I'll tell you that. Yes. You don't love sports, but you're good on sports.
What's his name?
Michael.
Michael, I love you and I love your lovely wife, but I don't believe that story that you just told. You said something else for her to say, what the F are you talking about? Stop it. Stop it.
I believe fully that that's what they were talking about, because it's like, it's dumb shit like that you have those debates on. It doesn't need to be more serious. That's what's so beautiful about it.
Tell the truth. I could tell by your white face that this is planned, your answer was planned. What were you guys really talking about? Come on.
Well, look. We like to keep our private conversations private.
Got it.
Did you just hear him correct you? He said not wife, girlfriend.
Happy girlfriend.
Okay, well,
happy girlfriend, happy life.
Let the record stay.
Hold on. I'll tell you what. If you ask her to marry you right now, I'll buy the engagement ring.
Ooh. Listen.
No, ain't no listen. Do it right now. Do it right now. Get on your knee right now. I'll buy the ring. I'll send you the ring.
Look into the camera when you do that. Oh,
look at her face, man.
If you guys agreed to come to the wedding, we'll do that.
I'll come to the wedding.
No, you can't. Well, we got to tell us what the wedding is first before we can do that.
Ask her right now. Go ahead.
I didn't agree to this.
But you can say yes or no.
Well, I'll tell you what. I want to do this.
Let me tell you something. You've already cursed him out on national television. If you turn him down on national television, he better abort.
I mean, I don't love that part at the end, but I love them. And they did another interview, too, that I thought was cute.
General advice for everyone out there is you got to get a beautiful Midwestern woman. They don't really make those, in San Antonio, but this one, she's good stuff.
Gosh.
I agree. Get yourself a good Midwestern woman. And that is what we will be ending on. I'm going to probably go watch the rest of the Mayhem Ball. And then I'm going to say I was going to go to bed, but I'll stay up quite a lot longer than that. But that's it. Good night, everybody.